All right. I give this training a lot of times, many variations of this training to a lot of different people around the state. I'm asked to come and give a training about military culture, and one of the best examples of military culture out there is BattleMind. I mean, every time I watch this video, it just brings back memories. This is what it looked like driving around Baghdad. Wow. But this is my title slide. It just runs on a loop while I'm waiting to start the presentation. And generally speaking, this presentation is sometimes to a room full of psychologists or something like that, or police officers that are doing CIT, crisis intervention training, for a week. And mine's the portion on military or something like that. I've been invited to a lot of environment situations, community colleges and such, hundreds of presentations around the state. And so generally this is geared to non-military, but I've also given this to veteran populations, and it feels kind of weird sometimes for me to give a presentation to veterans like, hey, this is your culture, let me tell you about you. But every time I have, veterans have come out and said, dude, that was great, that explained things that in a way that I can relate now, or that explained things in a way that I can go tell my therapist now. Thanks a lot. So, maybe this got some use in it. All right. So about me is in 1989, I joined the Marine Corps. I went away to the Marine Corps. I went open contract. I just wanted to be a Marine. And in the process of intake and all this stuff, took my little test, the ASVAB water test, and they said, oh yeah, we'll make you an avionics tech. I'm like, what's an avionics tech? So I worked on F-18s. So did that, Desert Storm, F-18 unit, but I spent 130 days at Parris Island. I had shin splints and stress fractures in both legs at the same time. And so I was medical rehabilitation for like over a month, and then went back to training day one. So I am well indoctrinated into the Marine Corps mentality from that. But Desert Storm, 5 years. I was going to be a career Marine, but I discovered psychology. I started thinking about things, and I was curious about other stuff and seeing other cultures and being around the world several times. I wanted to go to college and learn stuff because I was from Arkansas. I didn't know anything other than Arkansas. And so I decided to get out and go to college. So I went to several different universities: University of Houston, go Cougs, Portland State University, University of Arkansas at Monticello, go Boll Weevils, even University of Oregon. While I was at U of O, 9/11 happened, and I tried to go back into the Marine Corps, but they were swamped. Every Marine wanted to go back in. And then mission was accomplished. So might as well keep going to college because the war's over. But the war wasn't over. And after a couple of years of me seeing the combat was still happening, I decided to call up the recruiters, like, who can get me some paperwork? And it was the National Guard, the Oregon National Guard, that got me. And they said, we got paperwork right here. Bam! So signed up 6 years infantry, because every Marine is trained at least at some level, basic infantry soldier. And so I signed up infantry because I wanted a rifle. I wanted to be more directly in part of the fight. And a couple months later, 3 months later, I was downtown Baghdad with a unit. So did that, and then when I came back, they took me out and my unit and put me in the Regional Training Institute, Oregon, where I taught soldiers infantry skills. I had never been to an Army school, ever. I don't even know how to speak Army. There's a different terminology between Marines and Army. I didn't even know Army doctrine. All I know is the very basics of Marine Corps mentality of shoot, move, and communicate. But funny thing, that worked in Iraq. So I taught that for 10 years, teaching soldiers who were not infantry soldiers how to be infantry soldiers. You see in the middle there, I've got a combat infantry badge from Iraq. Also, at the same time, I was the military liaison, military culture expert, whatever, at Oregon Health Science University for their psychiatry department. They were doing two studies on interviewing spouses of male veterans, and the male veterans, and they were testing them for PTSD and depression, stuff like that. And I helped explain some military culture stuff on that. Really great stuff. And also for I lost count, 5, 6, 7 years. For a while, it's changed names and terminology. I was part of a joint transition assistance program, which was started in the state of Oregon, where basically some NCOs said, "Hey, here's some blueberries or whatever, blueberries, blackberries," and they just went around trying to help veterans, and it turned into a program. And so that's what we did. We would go around trying to find support for veterans and help them. So as these National Guard soldiers come back, there wasn't resources out there like, "Hey, here, go find the doctors in your area that take TRICARE." That wasn't there. Or here, go find therapists that, take TRICARE and or understand the military. That wasn't there. There's so much that they didn't know. I hate to say this, 17 years ago, but that's what we did. I got my degree from Portland State University, psychology and philosophy. I have 2 of them. And for 2 years, I was the state coordinator in the Oregon Army National Guard for the resiliency program, the Comprehensive Soldier Family Fitness program. And for 10 years, I was a co-facilitator every Tuesday night for a weekly group session of male veterans who had PTSD and were also domestic violence batterers. They never had an issue before deployment. Now they've got an issue, and they're confused why, right? And so that's called the Combat and Domestic Readjustment Education Program. It took a couple of years to come up with that name. We're very proud of it. It's no longer in service. The founder and executive of it, the lead facilitator, she's retired now and enjoying the retired life. But for a while there, we were the only thing that these vets had in the Portland metro area. All right, so word of warning here. Back in the 80s, when I was a kid, I read all these magazines. I read karate magazines. I read all this stuff, right? What boy doesn't? And, just because you read this magazine doesn't mean you are now a ninja. You read a karate magazine doesn't mean you know karate, right? I know this, these 2 great kids, 11 years old and 5 years old, and they like watching Cobra Kai on YouTube. Brilliant show. I love that show. But now they do karate, which just means them running around kicking each other. So it doesn't mean you know this. So just because, as I train civilians and stuff like that, like I tell you these things, this doesn't mean you really understand military culture. It's deeper than this, but these are the highlights, right? But when I teach these resilience skills and stuff like that to military, to veterans and such, I say this doesn't make you a therapist, right? There's a whole lot more that goes involved into it than just kicks, right? So word of caution, just because you know a little bit doesn't mean you're an expert. So this doesn't make you an expert. This doesn't make you a therapist or anything like that. But it's a good place to start, and there's some good lessons to learn, right? So just a funny thing, a lot of veterans I know relate to this. Back in theater, you're something. Back over here, you're nothing. That's what a lot of people feel like. I was at a grand rounds in the VA 10 plus years ago, and there was a discussion of a study that was being done at the time. I can't give you a reference, but they looked at veterans with PTSD, current service members with PTSD, but when they went back to theater, all the symptoms of PTSD were gone. Like they had no sleep issues, they had none of the problems associated with PTSD until they come back here. All of a sudden, PTSD comes up, right? Contextual. There's a lot of things that goes on to PTSD than just it's not like a virus. It's not a flu. You got it, and then let's just work through it. Anything that involves the brain involves context. That context, you give it to yourself. The people around you give it to you. It's pretty, a lot of complicated. And that's how a therapist can help you with that. All right. So bottom line up front, the bluff. Bottom line up front. Here we go. I'm a former platoon sergeant in theater. I just got back from Somalia like a year ago or so. What I want in my soldiers is somebody that's all business here. He's not looking to be, he's not a goofball. I mean, we have goofballs, duh. But we're out on patrol. You need to be business. I need you to be scanning your lanes. I need you to be, head on a swivel, double checking everybody around you, that your soldiers have all their gear, their equipment. I need you to be paranoid about all the civilians around us. Yeah, be friendly, be professional, as Mad Dog said. Be polite, professional, but have a plan to kill everybody you see, right? You need to have that mindset, right? Plan professional, polite professional, and plan to kill everybody you see. Awesome. But then imagine those same behavioral traits when you're at a dinner party back home. Polite, professional, but have a plan to kill everybody you see. So that's the bottom line here. Is that the bottom line works. It's not that the behavior itself is bad. The behavior itself is amazing in theater, in the combat zone. But the behavior itself doesn't work so well outside that context. It's not the context that I need as a family man, right? So what is dysfunctional? Ask yourself right now, what is dysfunctional? What do you think psychology says dysfunctional is? What do you say dysfunctional is? Right? So Monk. I love this show. If you haven't watched Monk, you are missing out. It is a great TV show. This guy here has OCD, he's a germaphobe, he's all kinds of stuff. Is he, man, I got hiccups. Is he dysfunctional? Don't know, right? Because the definition is if a person is behaving in ways counterproductive to their own well-being. This is straight out the DSM-4. We're at DSM-5 now. But straight out of DSM-4, behaving in ways counterproductive to your own well-being. Now, I would argue that Monk is not dysfunctional. He's eccentric. He's way different than the people around him, but he's got friends. He lives a rewarding life. He solves crimes. I mean, all sorts of stuff. People threw a birthday party in one episode, which was hilarious, right? Yeah, it's different. It's not what you see on, other Hallmark shows and stuff like that, but he does a lot of good stuff, right? What's dysfunctional is that the time that I really discovered Monk, I was a full-time college student and also worked full-time in the restaurant industry, which meant I never slept. And so I rarely had free time to do anything else. And one day, it's like a Saturday or something, and Monday I had like 2 reports due. I had to read a lot of pages in my book and a bunch of stuff due on Monday morning, right? And I'm working Saturday night, I'm working Sunday night, whatever. I turn on TV for some stupid reason, and there's a Monk marathon, 7 hours of Monk. And what do? I watch Monk. Instead of doing my homework, I watch Monk, even though I've seen all the TV shows. The dysfunction here is that now I'm behind in my life. I'm behind in work. I'm behind in everything that I'm responsible for because I chose to watch Monk instead. That's the dysfunction. So something can be dysfunctional or not. It's not the thing itself. Is it impacting your life? Sex is good until you're like a sex addict, and like you're sexing everything, or you're eat chocolate cake. I love chocolate cake. Until you eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Now, sudden diabetes, or alcohol. I love a beer. That's one of the things I love about Oregon. The guy in me that was raised in Arkansas, like, ooh, alcohol's the devil. Here in Oregon, you go to a 10K race or a marathon, they got beer. Beer? That blows my mind still to this day. Right? I'm 50 years old. Still blows my mind. But you drink all the time, alcoholism. Right? So think about that dysfunction. Are the behaviors that worked for you in combat, if that's the only thing that you use, the only tool in your toolbox, that is now dysfunctional. Those things that worked for you are now negatively impacting your life. That's dysfunction. All right, so resilience. So if you go to the University of Pennsylvania, started the CSF program, or is developed by UPenn and such like that, whatever. So they have in their trainings this notion of you are fragile and you break, or you bounce back. That's resilience. The definition of resilience is the ability to bounce back from something to an earlier state. So the bouncing ball, it's round. You throw it at the wall, there's an obstacle, it compresses, but because it's resilient, elastic, it bounces back and then returns to its earlier shape. If you do that with glass, it breaks, and now it doesn't return back to its earlier shape. It is not resilient. So resilient isn't that you don't have bad days. Resiliency is that you bounce back. So yeah, you get the flu, you're fired from your job, your girlfriend leaves you, whatever it is. Feel bad, man. It's all good. It is lousy, right? It's crap, right? Scream, shout, cry, whatever it is. But are you able to be better the next day or the day after or the week after? Yeah, That's resilience. It's not that you don't ever bend, it's that you bounce back. And so, a person that's resilient, you get a cut on yourself, and if your immune system is resilient, you get that cut and stuff like that, but then you heal quickly and you move on. If you don't have a good immune system, then you get that cut and then you get sick and then you stay sick and it just doesn't get better. That's not resilient. So this is developed by civilians to train the military. However, I would argue that this misses the military. How does it miss the military? Well, we're not fragile. Most of us aren't. I know some pretty weak NCOs. Not even going to say his name. But there are some weak ones out there. But for the most part, we've weeded out the fragile people out of boot camp. That's what one of the points of boot camp is, one, to weed people out, right? So a common thing for military culture is this: a ball bearing. And a ball bearing isn't an egg. It's not going to break if you drop it, but it's not a tennis ball. It has one shape. It doesn't bounce back. Instead, what you see in a military culture is that you keep driving on and you keep working and you keep going, and then you just grind down. And so what you typically see, what I've seen from a lot of veterans over time, is that they don't do self-care. I know, I'm guilty of it myself. They don't do self-care and they just keep going. And so what? Hey, do you wake up with aches? Yeah, my shoulder aches, my back aches, my knee aches, my foot aches, my neck aches, everything aches, but I'm still able to get up and do my job, right? Okay, that's us. And what happens when a ball bearing gets worn out? Can you retool a ball bearing and use it for something else? No, it's not useless. Now it's a paperweight. You change out the ball bearing with a new one. So the military, what we'll do, let's get rid of that crusty old NCO that can barely move for a new one. That's what we do. That's our culture. Use you up and get rid of it. That's kind of harsh or so, but we do that to ourselves. We'll keep using ourselves up, and it's not until veterans, I've had Korean War veterans come up to me this is my job, trying to get services for the first time. That's just our culture. All right. And resilience doesn't mean withstanding. It means returning, bouncing back. It involves a lot of self-care. All right. So this is me when I came back from Iraq. Not sure if I'm in a bad mood or everyone else is being annoying. Holy cow. I was in a bad mood. Everyone else is being annoying. So, long time ago, 2007-ish, somewhere there, I gave a talk. I didn't give a talk. I gave a speech or so at Portland State University. We were talking about something in abnormal psych class, and I went on a rant. Y'all don't know the first thing about being stressed out, blah, blah, blah. Wait till you had to walk around with snipers and la, 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 la. And somebody came up to me and gave me a card and said, hey, man, you might be interested in Returning Veterans Project. What you talking about, Willis? So Returning Veterans Project, which is an Oregon-based institution, Oregon and Southwest Washington, was created by somebody to provide free pro bono therapy for OIF, OEF veterans. Well, I was like, in my platoon, this is right before I went away to RTI in 2007, but in my platoon, in my company, I could see a lot of soldiers that were having issues. A lot of guys were popping hot for cocaine, marijuana, other narcotics and such. Everybody that knew was breaking up with their girlfriends and wives. I was on girlfriend like number 10. I couldn't keep one more than 3 months. Lots of issues. Jobs, pick an issue. Yet nobody was going to therapy. A lot of people were on happy pills. That's what we call it, happy pills. But nobody was going to therapy. And so during all these people were here, and I heard this idea of this Returning Veterans Project, therapists giving their time free. I didn't believe this. Are you for real? This can't be for real. You got to be selling something. So I set up an appointment with Returning Veterans Project. I set up an appointment with Returning Veterans Project, went to the therapist and sat down, and she's trying to ask me about stuff. How are you feeling? How are you sleeping? I'm like, Doc, I am fine. Look at the stereotype of the PTSD veteran that you see in movies, right? That stereotype. That is not me. I don't sleep with a gun under my pillow. Do I have guns? Yeah, I got multiple pistols, rifles, shotguns, knives, axes, pick something, right? Got them. But do I sleep with them under my pillow? No. Are they within arm reach? Sometimes, or I may move. I've got one on a shelf right there, all right? 45 on the shelf, but I don't sleep with them. I don't talk to them. Heck, I might go a long time without even picking one up. Drinking, I don't have time to drink, son. I'm full-time job, full-time college student. I got no time to drink, go out to bars. And if I do have a drink at a bar, it's 1 beer, 2 beers, maybe, but rarely that. Drugs, can't afford drugs. Besides, I don't want to use drugs. I don't like it messing up my mind. Yeah, I've never been on drugs. All this other stuff. I don't have hallucinations. I don't have flashbacks. I don't have none of that stuff, right? I don't have a 1,000-yard stare. None of that stuff that I see on movies, which all movies are bullshit. So I'm fine. She kept at this for a while. She kept asking me questions, and what about sleep? I'm like, sleep? Who's got time for sleep, man? I get off work at 3 o'clock in the morning. I got to be at class at 8. It's a 30-minute drive and parking. So who's got time for sleep? I drink 22 cups of coffee a day. So she asked me a question, do you ever get angry? I was like, do I get angry? I got angry 5 minutes ago. She's like, can you tell me an example? When was the time you got angry? All right, boom. Stupid people doing stupid things all the time, right? Why? Traffic. Traffic, yeah. I don't have to beat this horse. Y'all understand that, right? There's idiots everywhere on the road. They're driving too fast. They're merging wrong. Don't know what a turn signal is. Cell phones while they're driving. Pick something. There's a lot of stupid people driving, right? Right. So this doesn't make me a crazy PTSD veteran just because I'm angry at the idiots on the road. Another example she asked me. I said, fine, I'll tell you another example. So again, I'm a busy person. I don't have time for anything. I don't have any free time. So if I stop at a coffee shop, I need that coffee. I'm on my way to class or work or something. So there's a line of people, and you think anybody in this line of people is ready to order? Have they looked at the menu? No, they ain't looking at no menu. They look at the menu like, what do I want? Hey, how you doing this weekend, man? You go see this band? Whatever. Nobody is ready. In the military, we have this thing called move with a purpose. Civilians wouldn't know move with a purpose if you threw a brick at them, right? Concerts. Now, I love concerts. Pick something. Death metal, orchestral music, folk music, jazz. I love music. Music's great. I go to a lot of concerts. When I came back, man, I was at one concert, and these girls behind me, teenage girls, like 15 or so, they were, I can't do it, but they're like, just this shriek, high level. And it's right behind me. All I wanted to do was just choke them out. It was so annoying. I would go to metal concerts, it's very freaking loud. People mosh pits and stuff like that. And the guy next to me, yeah! I'm like, must you yell? Do you have to yell so loud? Then another concert, and the guy next to me is like, that is so great. I'm like, do you have to do that? Can you be quiet? But people screaming in your ear, does that make me crazy, combat veteran PTSD dude? I don't know. This one. Now, civilians don't understand this. Military people, bam, they understand it right off the bat. But civilians like, why would you be angry at this? Of course I'd be angry at this. Look at the right. You see the tail light of that car right there on the right? This woman here is moving in a dangerous environment. Excuse me, I got hiccups. Moving in a dangerous environment. She ain't paying attention. Her head is not on a swivel. She's pushing a baby in a dangerous environment. But instead of walking around like ready for dangerous stuff, she's on a cell phone, not paying attention whatsoever. Not only that, in 0405, at least part of it, there was ROE that you shoot on the side anybody with a cell phone in Baghdad, because that was how people set off IEDs. When you see that, shoot them, right? They changed it, but for a while, that was it. People in Baghdad knew, do not talk on phones when Americans drove by. So multiple reasons here why I get angry. This one, yep, I'm tired. I have I cannot focus, right? And I'm irritable, and I'm sitting in class, and I'm trying to take notes, and right next to me is some jackwagon who is intent on eating loud food. And crunchy chips, and the wrapper's loud, and it may be beside me, maybe behind me, whatever, but it is distracting. I cannot focus on that professor because jackwagon here is just being loud and annoying. Hate that in college classrooms. Freaking hate it. I don't do it, and I have less sleep and time off than you do, buddy. You don't see me doing it, so yeah, I get angry at people. So Winco Foods, some people may not know what Winco Foods is. It's a big grocery store, like a warehouse grocery store, right? So, no kidding, there I was. I was with girlfriend number 40 at the time, and we were at Winco Foods. She wanted to shop. Fine, I'm with her. So, as we're walking down the aisle and shopping, if you ever shot with a girlfriend before, it goes something like this. Hey, should we get the soup in the nice pretty blue can, or should we get the one with the chicken on it? This is a cool looking chicken. What about this one? Me as a guy, which has the most protein? That's all I care about, right? Protein. How much is the protein in it? Nope. This looks cute. That looks good. She's looking at the soup like, I am so freaking bored. This is before the iPhone came out. iPhone came out shortly after. This is before iPhone came out. So I couldn't pull out my iPhone and look at baseball scores. I was stuck. So I'm just dead tired. Like, fine. Whatever that one. Right? So as I'm walking, this little lady just walks in front of me. She doesn't look at me. She doesn't say excuse me. Does not even acknowledge that I exist. And I went from zombie mode, just bored out of my gourd, to all of a sudden Super Saiyan. All right, I went to just furious. Like my heart rate went up, adrenaline through my arms, and I deeply wanted to beat the crap out of this little lady. I even took a step towards her. My fists were balled up, and I wanted to beat her up. And I realized that, and I stopped myself, and I'm holding my muscle. I'm just holding myself tight, like, and my brain is like, dude, you're about to beat up an old lady. That's how I'm talking to myself right now. You're about to beat up an old lady. You can't be here. You better get the heck out of here. So I just looked at my girlfriend. I was like, I gotta go. She's like, what? I gotta go. Can't stay. And I left. I just stayed out in the car. Just sat there, just fuming. And about this time, there's many more examples that she kept asking me about, the therapist did. Just for brevity, just didn't put them all. But when we got to this one, this is the last one, she's like, looked at the clock. It's been an hour. Would you like to set an appointment for next week? And I was like, yeah. Now note, I've been home for 2 years now, slightly over 2 years. Back from Iraq, went to Hurricane Katrina, full-time job, student, had no issues. And if you would ask me, do I have issues? No. I can look at my platoon, my company, yeah, alcohol, drugs, arrested, divorced, the whole 9 yards, but never did it ever cross my mind that I had issues. And my therapist kept asking me all these different examples. And suddenly, here I was, and I just went through 30 minutes of example after example after example how I was angry at other people. And not just angry, oftentimes ready to do physical violence on people. All right? So, and that's when I saw the pattern for the first time in 2 years I've been back. I saw the pattern. All right, so the way I explain this sometimes with civilians, a lot of times I'll have a room full of civilians, and I'll say, all right, if I have a rubber band, and I do this, just like this picture here, you ever have somebody shoot you in an office, like you're working in cubicle hell, and somebody pops up and says, hey, bam, pops you with a rubber band? Does it hurt? No, I mean, it's just like, whatever. But somebody does this to you, how do you react? You know, normally people go something like this. They're like, man, don't. Put that down, man. Just a little bit of tension. Just put it down, all right? Poke somebody's eye out, all right? That's normal. What you don't see, if you did, this person needs therapy, is something jumping behind the desk. Holy crap! Take cover! Take cover! We got rubber bands! Oh my! And just melting in tears and anguish. Like, I'm gonna be shot by a rubber band. Ah! You don't see that. I hope not. All right. What you see is this, a little tension. Okay, now what is the source of that tension? That rubber band, because you were normal, and then somebody pops a rubber band, you went, just like this. 2 seconds later, you're like, okay, fine. You know what the source of this is because it's fresh in your memory what normal is. All right. So when you roll outside the wire, say you're in Iraq or Afghanistan, you roll outside the wire. All right, you're waiting for that bomb to go off. You're waiting for that IED. You're waiting for that gunshot, whatever. So you're like this. You got a slight angst. waiting for that next shoe to drop, right? That becomes your everyday, all the day. So this is normal. You're just walking around all the time, slightly anxious, but it just feels normal. And then when you come back to the States, it's still turned on. You're still like this. And everybody's like, hey man, relax. You're like, the hell are you talking about relax? This is relaxed, you know? And then you try to go to sleep, and sometimes you can go to sleep, sometimes you can't go to sleep. It depends. There's a lot of variable. But a lot of times, is relaxed. This is relaxed. You know, you're looking around, and what was that thing over there? You can't help it, but you're still waiting for that shoe to drop. You're not aware of it. You don't know what's going on inside here, but at a deeper level, you're just waiting for that next gunshot. What this does to it at a physical level is all these muscles. So you're like the brachial artery, the carotid artery, and the brachial artery, and the femoral artery, and so these things are surrounded, like the brachial artery right there. Yeah, feel that? That is surrounded by muscle. All right. So as you tense up all your muscles everywhere over time, what those muscles, when you see the muscle tense, I mean, I don't have a big one, so small muscle, but it goes up a little bit, tense versus not tense, or say that tension surrounds blood vessels. I'm trying to explain this. I had a doctor explain this to me. Go ask a doctor. But that tension puts pressure around your arteries, all right, and your capillaries and stuff like that. What you end up with is high blood pressure. That's one of the ways that you get high blood pressure, even outside of diet. Because I came back, I would go to the Safeway or whatever, you see those little bitty blood pressure cuffs. I stick my arm in and high blood pressure. I'm like, how the hell do I have high blood pressure? You know, I'm 30-something old, however old I was 17 years ago. 37. Yeah. I don't know. I'm 50 now. So I'm in my 30s. I eat healthy. I run all the time. I exercise pretty regularly. How the hell do I have blood pressure? That was it, you know. Now with, you know, I meditate and stuff like that, blood pressure's fine. All right, so this is it. But if you ask this person, hey, one, are you anxious? Hell no, I'm not anxious. What the hell are you talking about? And this is relaxed. They don't even realize it. And then when somebody does pop up in your radar as a jerk, somebody, you know, all of a sudden is like cuts you off in traffic, or looks at you the wrong way, or eats chips next to you too loud, or whatever, all this that you've been carrying around is suddenly like, well, there's a reason I'm feeling this way. Even though you don't know that you're feeling this way, you're like, there's a reason that something's amiss. That. And you go after it. All right, so military culture and training. Bam, here we go. Military culture is often trained poorly. The people that train military culture do so poorly. I mean, let me be redundant. That's like, hey, let me explain to you the working culture of Walmart. Here's their uniform, here's their pay scale, and here's the distribution of centers around the United States. You now understand Walmart employee culture. No, you don't. You don't have the first clue about it. But that's yet what you get all the time from military culture trainings. Here's our rank structure. Marines are called Marines, and Army soldiers are called soldiers, and don't confuse them. What the freaking do, right? But yet that's what passes for military culture training all over the place. Here's the uniform and rank structure. Alright, so I'm about to lay it on you, slick. Real military culture training, or at least heavily influenced by Marine Corps and Army infantry. Alright? So, grain of salt. If you're a Navy submariner, hats off to you. I would rather walk through a field full of rattlesnakes, and I hate fucking snakes, than get in a freaking submarine and go underwater. And I've talked to a lot of Navy veterans who own ships in water and submarines who are like, yeah, but I didn't do combat in the middle of Baghdad. I'm like, son, I would much rather any day of the week walk down some dark alley in Baghdad, you know, than get in that freaking tube. Hell no. But yet he thinks what I was doing was hard, but I think what he was doing was hard. That's what we do in the military. Our molehills are other people's mountains, and vice versa. All right. So cut yourself some slack. Even if you were something else, somewhere else, your shit matters, man. Your shit matters. So don't minimize your contribution. All right. All right. So military culture. This is a video. You can find this on YouTube.
Move fast.
I'm not gonna play the whole thing here.
Let's go.
But just
Move
Google
fast
Marine
right
Corps
now.
boot camp.
You're now aboard Marine Corps Crew Depot, Parris Island, South Carolina. You have taken the first step to becoming a member of the world's finest fighting force, the United States Marine Corps. Tens of thousands of Marines have begun outstanding service to our country on the very footprints in which you stand today. You will carry on that project.
All right, that's good stuff. All right. So, like I said, there's a whole series of videos on YouTube. Just Google Marine Corps boot camp training and watch some of that stuff. Man, I get homesick every time I see it. I mean, I love it. Anyway, We Were Soldiers. I mean, we all love this movie. It's a good movie. This one here.
Good morning, Sergeant Major.
How do you know what kind of goddamn day it is?
Beautiful morning, Sergeant Major.
Are you a fucking weatherman now?
So contrast military culture with this.
But there are two little things you should never forget from January through December.
He's talking about please and thank you. They're called the magic words. If you want nice things to happen, they're the words that should be heard.
So, funny thing, man. Please and thank you, right? Please and thank you. I showed this at Yellow Ribbon events with soldiers and stuff like that. And honestly, in my day-to-day job that I do, I work with civilians, and I have to send a lot of emails. And I will purposefully pepper in phrases like "You matter," "Thank you so much for being a part of this," "It was such a pleasure to meet you," stuff like that. I pepper it in with it because the way I wrote military and way I would like to write is just the facts. Here's the training, here's the time, here's the the time to be there. XYZ, that's all I need. Text to my girlfriend and stuff like that, like XYZ. But people don't feel valued that way, so I pepper in stuff like that. You know what? You matter. You're a rock star. You're awesome sauce. I really like you. I miss you. Stuff like that, right? Because people are human. Now, it's easy to make fun of civilians like this, like civilians like soft-skinned snow bunnies or snowflakes, whatever they're called, right? Sure, funny. Well, funny thing there, soldier, veteran, military, veteran, Marine, Airman, Space Guardian. Funny thing, have you ever had that NCO sergeant that was just a prick? All right? Or have you ever, yes, you have. I have too. All right? Have you ever had that NCO that you liked? What was different about the one that you liked? Aside from being competent, probably. Aside from that person also probably took some effort into telling you positive reinforcement. In the Army, in our CSF program in the Army, one of the things that we try to teach soldiers is what's called active constructive responding. Sorry, hiccup. ACR, active constructive responding. So what it looks like is this. It's not, hey, you did a good job. Whoop-de-freaking-do. What does that mean? It's more like, hey, Private Schmuckatelli, I noticed you came in an hour early and you worked on cleaning that machine gun. That was a good job. Those are very clean machine guns. I appreciate your effort on that. How do you think Private Schmuckatelli feels now? One, he feels like he matters, that he matters enough that you noticed, and that what he's doing is contributing. He feels good. You think Private Schmuckatelli is going to work harder now because you went out of your way and you noticed one little specific thing that he did well? Yes, he will do better. So that works for the military. Well, funny thing, civilians do that. A lot of times, hopefully they do that. They're not being passive aggressive. So there's some things that we in the military can learn from civilians. Please and thank you go a long way. So yeah, it's fun to make fun of civilians as being these soft-skinned whatevers, but funny thing, man, there's some stuff that military can learn from them, all right, and vice versa. All right, so combat arms training. Here we go, military training 101. So I'm not going to go in here and tell you about Army doctrine, about battle drills and stuff like that. It comes down to two basic things as far as the skills go. Those skills are offense. Offense, right? So offense is not only what is this thing, what is it? How to use it? What's its capability? All right? You see in the movie when somebody's like on the 30th story of the building and you see the cop in the movie walking around with his gun and he's pointing up, the 6th floor. He's shooting the 6th floor. That's stupid. You ain't going to hit nobody on the 6th floor, son. But you see it all the time, like pow, 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 pow. Shooting somebody a block away, whatever. You're not going to do that with that pistol. What are you going to do with this thing? You're going to shoot at somebody 600 meters away with this? You're wasting a bullet, right? So how to use this matters. That's what we teach in offense, right? How to use this tool, how to keep it up to date or upkeep, maintenance, but also how to work with the person next to you. Contrast the Visigoths, the Goths, the Gauls, the Celts, the Germanic tribes, and the Roman army way back in the day. All right, that's one of the reasons why the Roman army just decimated people all the time. Well, decimation is an actual Roman thing, 1/10. Anyway, that's a side point. But the Roman army was so awesome, they completely changed their doctrine 3 times. Complete doctrine change 3 times the Roman army because they were pragmatic. What worked, what didn't work, right? So small unit tactics. How does a team work with another team? How does a person work with another person, right? That small unit leader, small unit working in part of a larger force and such is something that you have to learn. You got to teach that. You just don't happen naturally. You watch various rebels and stuff like that on the news and such, and you see a bunch of individuals running around with guns, right? You see that, it's just stupid. So this takes training to learn how to work together as a team, all right? And not only that, there's an emotional component, all right? So my joke to a lot of people in the state and civilians that don't understand that is this. Next person you see with a Oregon State t-shirt on, shoot them. 2 kill. Now that's a joke because go Ducks. But, and no, don't do that. If there's some idiot watching the TV and like, oh, he said do that. Don't do it. You're a freaking idiot. But, somebody would say, well, he said so. Seriously, people. But the point there is that stop for a second and think about that. What will it take for you to emotionally prepare yourself to, without a moment's hesitation, shoot and kill someone purely for that reason? That's it. And our rules of engagement go just along like that. We had rules of engagement one time where you could shoot and kill on sight anyone with, what was it, a tattoo of a dagger with a rose or something like that. The Iraqi the Iraqi Republican Guard. And then there was the Mukis, Muqtada al-Sadr, that shithead. His force, they had yellow scarves or something going on. This is a long time ago. But yeah, we could shoot him on sight with that. But you gotta be ready to do that emotionally, because if you're hesitant, you're like, do I really want to shoot this person? Normal people are. Normal people are hesitant. Hopefully, through my training, hopefully being embedded in our military culture and such, where violence is everywhere around us, we sing songs about violence. Napalm sticks to little children. That's a horrible song for people that aren't expected to go into combat. But if you are expected to go into combat, I need you to hear those songs. I need you to be able to deaden and numb your emotional centers to where you can go in and do that. Now, the problem with that is that then you get war crimes. All right, so as a fight, we'll get into that later. But I need you to be able to perpetuate violence and kill people. That is not an easy break to do. But to take that break off of you to where you don't hesitate and go that full measure takes training. All right. Next part is defense. What is this? What is defense? How do you use this box? What is this box? Front towards enemy? Is it this front or that front? People have actually asked that question. Pull the trigger, find out. But what is this? What is this capabilities, right? If there was 5 of us, how should we array ourselves to give ourselves maximum protection? Man, I cannot stand watching The Walking Dead. Those people are idiots. They all deserve to die. There's not a single, seriously, who you'd think after 10 years they would learn some better tactics and techniques and stuff like that, particularly defense. But no, they're all idiots. Walking Dead, seriously. But anyway, what is this? What is patrol base? How do you set up a patrol base? How do you set up final protective lines? All this other stuff, right? We teach that. How do we work together? What are the priorities of work? All these different things to help protect yourself in a defensive manner. But also, there's an emotional side. And that emotional side is somebody's trying to kill you. Somebody right now is training, is preparing, is drawing up a plan to kill you. And hopefully kill you on camera. That'd make the news. Get the Americans out of here. So people are right now planning to kill you. You better take that personally. So when you see, a kid walk up to you, you don't think kids have not been used by Al Qaeda, or what was that offshoot name, Zarqawi and his other idiots? They've used kids. They've used women and children. They would throw kids in front of moving vehicles in Afghanistan to get the American Humvees and stuff to stop. And then boom, mortars, and RPGs and other stuff. Stuff like that's happened. So you need to be aware that people are trying to kill you. I would hide in various places. Military operations in urban terrain. Mount is where you see these like paintball rooms. Freaking hate paintball. It teaches people the wrong thing. So don't do pinball. Do sim rounds instead. But they would go inside a room and practice clearing rooms and stuff like you see in the movies, right? And the U.S. Army Infantry put out this video. They were doing it wrong in the video. I'm like, see? PAO doesn't know anything about Army tactics, and they're putting out this crappy video where hopefully every NCO is like, that was wrong. That was wrong. Nobody cleared the corner. That was the thing about that nobody cleared the corner. Anyway, so the guy would come in, and I'd be in a window, and then check the windows going by. He didn't see me. Bam! I'd punch him. That sounds harsh. Civilians like, hey, that's harsh. That's a hostile work environment. You don't know the first thing about a hostile work environment. I'm training a soldier to the amygdala, emotional weight to this. Something hurt. When I didn't check windows, I hurt. So he learns to check windows or he hurts. Now he goes to Afghanistan and he's clearing rooms. He stops at that window and he pies a corner on that window, right? I may have saved his life. So that's defense. And if you're interested in psychology, this is a good one. This is one of my favorite articles. Evil is more positive than good. If you lose $20, that has less of if you find $20 on the sidewalk, that has less of an impact on you emotionally than if you lose $20. Has much more of an impact. But there you go. So dogfighting, I am completely against dogfighting. Dogfighting, I love dogs. I like dogs better than people, right? So I'm against dogfighting. But dogfighting's been around for a long time. As long as there have been people and as long as there have been dogs, there's been dogfighting. And one of the things in dogfighting, which I didn't know this till I read this in a book somewhere, because one, I would never go to a dogfight, and two, I'm against dogfighting. But there's this thing called the scratch line. And when the dog is hesitant to cross that line, it loses. What you want is a dog that wants to fight. That's what they develop in these dogs. That want to fight. And you see this. It's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. All right? So that's important. So I've seen people who are 6'5", 230 pounds of muscle and wash out of Marine Corps boot camp. Probably make a great linebacker, maybe, but just wash out of Marine Corps boot camp. And I've seen people, 130 pounds and a bean pole, pass it. What's the difference? Had more fight. It's not about how big you are, it's how much fight you got in you. And I tell you what, man, you find a 5'4" Marine, stay out of the way, because that person is a rattlesnake. It will eat your lunch. All right. Love this movie. Great movie. The aim of military training is not just to prepare men for battle, but to make them long for it. The Marines are very good at this. Make them long for it. You want to fight. You are ministers of death praying for war. Freaking love that movie. All right. And perseverance. How do you think you learn perseverance? Let me show you a motivational poster about perseverance. There you go. That's not how you learn perseverance. That's not how you learn grit. You learn perseverance by hurting. And so this is one of my soldiers years ago crawling through the dirt. And they crawl, this is a high crawl, crawling through the dirt and over and over again, make ruck marches and all kinds of stuff, sleep deprivation. And then they're like, I can't go anymore. You're like, yeah, you can. And I build them up. This is what you've accomplished. So they had to learn over time that they can accomplish hard things. Right? And embrace the suck. That's part of our military culture. What's the alternative to this? The alternative is to hate life, hate your search situation, give up, just, roll over and die. Or embrace it. And the more you can embrace the suck, even in a situation like this, the more resilient to it you will be. And you see that all the time, especially out in the field and stuff like that. And the people who are able to embrace it are able to do better. I mean, stop and think for a second. This looks horrible to people. And it is no fun to sleep in this all the time. But stop for a second. It's not that bad. Really. I mean, people all the time, they go outside and it's like, oh my God, it's raining. I'm like, stop. You get rained on every day. Maybe. Or every other day. What are you talking about? Shower. You ever sit in the shower? Well, that's different. Why is that different? The only reason it's different is because you're wearing clothes and you're outside and the shower is coming from the sky. But it's still the same thing. You are wet. Take all the context out, and the bottom line is you're wet. Whoop-de-freaking-do. Suck it up. All right? And it's harder to suck it up when you're cold as hell, but or hot as hell. But at the end of the day, a lot of our bitching and moaning about stuff is contextual. It's just people bitching and moaning. So you have to learn to embrace the suck. All right. Purpose is big for the military. The military is all about purpose. And this you see every time there's a hurricane or a blizzard. What do you see the soldiers that guard the tomb of the unknown soldier do? They leave? Hell no, they ain't leaving. They stay here. 2016, DC evacuated. Soldiers here. We ain't going nowhere. We're staying here. Look at this guy on the right. Look at the snow that's on his hat. He has not moved. He has stayed there, and he's got snow all over him. I will guard my post, right? So purpose. Why? Because it matters. If the tomb of the unknown soldier does not matter to us, then we are lost. The moment that we don't care about that, all is lost. People don't understand that. Military understands that. All right? The self is unimportant. This is a log drill. I freaking love log drills. But the self is unimportant because the people, if you are weak, the people next to you are going to pay. They may die because you weren't able to do your job. You were weak. And again, I know a lot of weak soldiers that have no business wearing the freaking uniform. Peter. But your being weak puts the lives of the people next to you in danger. You as an individual in a military context don't matter. The mission itself matters. You sacrifice your body, your well-being, your life for the people next to you, for that mission, And you see a lot of soldiers, a lot of Marines, a lot of airmen, sailors, stuff like that. They give themselves over and over again for the people next to them. And you see all the time, generally speaking, you find you a veteran that's got an issue, whatever that issue is. Homeless, missing a leg, PTSD, I don't know, something. All right? Go to that veteran and say, hey, how can I help you? Generally speaking, what you're going to get is, I don't need anything. A cup of coffee would be great. Tac mag reload, that would be awesome. I need some, something to patch my tent in, but I can keep on going. Don't you worry about me. That's what you see all the time with this, right? Ask that person another question instead. Hey, homeless veteran. Hey, man, I know you're homeless. You're kicking ass, taking names. Awesome sauce. This other veteran over here that's homeless, can you help me get some help to this veteran? Because he'll recognize that, like, yeah, this homeless veteran needs some help. He's homeless too. She's homeless too. But yet, they'll work with you to help this one. Because it's not about us. It's about us helping that other one. So, you'll see that all the time. All right, so, if you work at a place, whatever that place is, say cubicle hell, right? Initech. You're working at Initech. And they say, we're going to have inspections every Friday to check people's cubicle. Will that change behavior in the long term to make your employee workforce neater? No. Scheduled inspections and stuff are baloney. Scheduled license, where you have to get a test to get a license in something, baloney. Because what do you do at the time when it's not that? You don't study, right? Instead, what if instead of, like, say, competency exams, say therapist. Hey, therapist, anytime throughout your time that you're a licensed therapist, we're going to give you a test on your competency. You could have none for 5 years, or you could have 5 within a year. But when you're called up to be tested, you're going to be tested. If you fail that test, lose your license. What do you think people will do? I want to study more, all right? And instead you go, hey, every year you got to take a test. Okay, I ain't going to study for 11 months. Month 12, I'm going to study my butt off. That's what you see. And you see that in a lot of other areas as well. When the punishment, when the reward, whatever it is, when it's randomized, when you don't know when it's happening, just random, that has a much greater impact on our behavior. We learn at a deeper level to be ready for it, to expect it, all right? And so sometimes if you sit, I give you a treat. Sometimes I don't. I may give you 3 treats in a row. I may not give you one for a week. But that randomized reward really helps to ingrain within you to learn this lesson. Now, what is a great example of randomized stuff? IEDs. You may go a month and not see an IED. You may see 10 in one day, right? What you learn is that don't ever relax. You can never let you, because as soon as you start relaxing, you know, boom, IED goes off. See, that's what happens when you relax. So when you come back and people's like, hey man, relax. I am relaxed. You have learned this. That relax is half cocked. All right. And this is just a joke. All right, Fort Hood, they're like, anything that looks like trash can be an IED. Be on the lookout. Man, have you driven through Baghdad? At least in 0405. I mean, I'm sure it's nicer now, but 0405, man, there's trash everywhere. This looks like Africa, I think. I'm not sure where this is. I don't know. But Baghdad doesn't look much different than this. All right, so no kidding, there was. So 2006, 2007, somewhere around there. It was a summer day. It was drill weekend. Sunday afternoon, I was finished with drill. I was going to drive home. So at the time, I had a pickup truck. I was in my truck, and there's no sound here, so don't worry. So I'm driving down the street in Gresham, Oregon. Boop-a-doop-a-doo, having a good time, just driving, and all of a sudden, the heavens opened up. You see, Gresham, Oregon has a problem. A lot of people in the city do not know how to look left or right when they cross railroad tracks. And so, every once in a while, some person who's probably looking at a cell phone or something like that, not paying attention, gets hit by a train, right? So the city is like, well, let's add more lights. And so there's an intersection next to Burger King and such down there where there's a lot of lights. So I'm driving around, and all of a sudden, ding, 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 and lights and stuff, and things are moving just out of nowhere. Like, holy cow, what's going on? Well, let's back this up and put this in a military context. There you are, driving, and all of a sudden, boom, you find yourself in an ambush. What do? Go. A, hunker down and then make a plan. What do we do? Or B, pick a direction, usually the direction of the people shooting at you, but pick a direction and go. B, get the hell out of the kill zone. That is the answer. Get out of the kill zone. If you find yourself in the kill zone in ambush, get out of the kill zone. Common sense. Yeah, weird. So there I was. All of a sudden, boom, I'm in a kill zone. What do? Gas pedal press, right? Wah! Here comes this thing out of the sky, an arm. I drive around it. Here comes another one. Oh, crap. Drive around that one. Over the railroad tracks, right? As I pass through all this stuff and I get through them all, that was an emotional reaction. That was an automatic reflexive reaction, all right? That's a different part of your brain. The emotional part of your brain is fast. It's sloppy. Sometimes it's right. Sometimes it's wrong. A lot of times it's right. But sometimes it's wrong. But it's fast. That's the point of emotions, to be fast. There's the thinking part of the brain, the calculating, thinking, what does this mean? That part of the brain is slower. It takes time. By the time I had crossed the railroad track and driven through all this, got out of the danger zone, emotional reaction, the thinking part of me caught up. And the thinking part is like, dude, there's a police station right there. You're going to get a ticket. Didn't care about the train, like whatever. It's like, ticket. Don't do that. That was a train. All right? So, no kidding. This happened. All right, so, funny thing. Military culture. Here we go. Military culture in a nutshell. The real military culture. Here we go. Boom. The ends justify the means. All right? What is the mission? Get to this checkpoint. Hold this checkpoint against enemy opposition. I don't have a gun. You better find a rock, right? Or whatever it is. All right? NCOs. All right? A lot of us steal things. Why? Because we have to have this vehicle up and running. Because we're going on patrol in O Dark 30, right? So you do what it takes to get things done. Sometimes it may be bending the rules a little bit, but that's what we do, right? The ends justify the means. And think about it. What is our end? Win a fight. Win the war. What is the means? Kill people. It's pretty cut and dry that the ends justify the means, right there. So if killing people accomplishes the mission of winning the war, then pretty much everything else is academic. Hey, is it okay to steal a car to complete the mission? If we'll kill somebody to complete the mission, certainly stealing a car is okay. See? Slippery slope. All right. Ask for forgiveness instead of permission. This is going to be put on my tombstone. I routinely do this. I was working once with a captain, and we were trying to do this thing. We were going to do this activity thing, and the captain started like, well, let me double check, and calls up to higher to ask. I'm like, no, stop, put the phone down, don't ask. And the captain's like, hey, can we do what? No? I'm like, no, we can't do it. All right, we'll just want to double check. I'm like, no, you never check. I mean, unless it's against regulations or something like that. Unless, it's kind of a gray area. But generally, you don't do that, because if they say no, now you have to not do it. But if you can do it and ask for forgiveness, different thing. So this is how we roll, right? Be ready for the worst. That's called contingency planning. All right? So be ready for the worst. This is not the same thing as the psychological behavior of expecting the worst. That's a different thing. All right? Here's an example. Me and my girlfriend going to go to the coast. Right? We're going to go to the coast in Oregon. We're going to spend the weekend together. Cool beans. Let's prepare for the worst. All right? Well, what if we get a flat tire on the way there? All right? Better put some tire kit in the car. What if the hotel is booked when we get there and have given away our room? I better pack a tent just in case. And go park it, go at the state park nearby and camp. Turn into a camping event. What if there's no food? Better take some snacks just in case. The restaurants are closed, or Ebola, or not Ebola. What is it thing with the spinach? Somebody craps on your spinach. E. coli, whatever. Yeah. So pack some snacks. What if this? Let's expect the worst things and plan for it, and now let's go. Expecting the worst is different than planning for the worst. I was planning for the worst. Expecting the worst is like, well, we're going to go there. We'll probably get a flat tire on the way. We're probably, the restaurants will be crap. The food will be terrible. She'll probably hate it. I'll probably hate it too. It's just going to be a big waste of time, but fine, let's go do it. Different circumstances, all right? So when I used to have a pickup truck, and I would go up through the mountains, the Cascade Mountains in Oregon all the time, over into the high desert to go give trainings, and I would carry water, I would carry blankets, I would carry flares. Easy to build a fire with a flare. I would carry a book. If I'm going to be stranded on the road for 10 hours, I'm going to have something to read. I would carry food, all kinds of stuff. And people say, why do you carry so much? I'm like, what if I have a flat tire? It's snow everywhere, right? I got GPS, I got a map, I got a compass, I got some way to keep warm. I got something to keep myself occupied. I'm good. I'm planning for the worst. But am I for a moment scared of going over the mountains? Not at all. I'm prepared. I'm good to go. I'm not worried a bit. I'm not anxious. I'm not, I hope nothing happens when I'm going across the road. That is not me at all. It's a different thing to be ready for the worst than it is to be anxious. All right? Those are two different things. All right? Weakness is worse than death. Tattoo that. Weakness is worse than death. Man, that's masculinity 101 right there. All right? And don't even get me started about how people talk about masculinity and misunderstand what masculinity is and all the other stuff. And you hear I heard some podcasters talking about how, oh my gosh, it's so horrible, the man cold and stuff like that. And man, isn't it just silly, pathetic how men, as they get older and not as strong, lose themselves. And oh my gosh, how stupid is that? You don't understand whatsoever. Shut up. All right? Weakness is worse than death, because when you have power, which is the essence of masculinity, when you have power, you can affect things. And what are those things? I don't know. It may be go find food. All right. So your car's stuck in the middle of nowhere, and your family in the station wagon, right? And they're hungry. Go find some food, or they die. Right. Go find help. Or somebody's assaulting you. A robber comes into your home in the middle of the night. You and your family are asleep. Get up and go fight that intruder before he kills you and your family. Right? That is power. You need power to do that. That's defense. Right? Working a job. Having the ability to go do that job. There's a lot of hard jobs out there that require more than just typing skills. Where you have to move stuff. Right? There's so much that goes on that if you can't physically do it, what good are you? The military, especially combat arms, infantry, or paratroopers, or special forces, or something like that, tankers, maybe not tankers, they ride around. Death before dismount, right? But there's a lot of stuff where you have to be physically capable of doing it. And if you can't do it, you're freaking useless, because you cannot provide. You cannot give towards the mission. What use are you? Right? So weakness is worse than death. Never abandon your comrade. Ever. Never, never abandon your comrade. We are in this together. Do not ever abandon your comrade, right? And I know some selfish people in the military, and they have no business wearing the uniform. And then the last one, death before dishonor. All this stuff is honorable, all right? To do this is to live with honor. Honor is something that is conferred upon you socially, all right? You can't just say, I have a lot of honor, and everybody else is like, you're a prick. That's not how honor works. Honor is conferred upon you by your peers, all right? And who are your peers? Your peers are people wearing the uniform, and they follow these same guidelines and principles of selflessness, protecting the person to the left and to the right of them, of giving 110%, right? And so you living up to these values gives you, you are conferred honor by the people around you, your peers. And to lose that honor, might as well die. All right, death is worse, or death is not as bad. That is worse than death. I would rather die than lose my honor. Man, I love that commercial. All right, I'll play that. Look it up. Shit civilians say to veterans. So you live in this culture of military, of honor and discipline and purpose. You go into deployment and you live according to these values, and the things that you do matter. And the fact that you check that you had water in your Humvee before a patrol matters. It absolutely freaking matters, right? Because it's 130 degrees outside. And then you come back, and you find yourself surrounded by a bunch of civilians. And instead of other people like checking on each other and stuff like that, you find yourself surrounded by people that are like, you know what? What's in it for me? It's not my job. Well, that just hurt my feelings. I can't deal with anything that hurts my feelings. Oh my gosh. You know what? It's 5 o'clock. Time for me to check out. You feel like a square peg in a round hole. I mean, one of the things, I have another video where I talk about military veterans with culture shock on campus. Oklahoma University of Oklahoma, whatever. There's a psychologist that did a study, like 9, 12 veterans, whoop-de-doo. Maybe 20, I don't know. This many on a campus, a university campus of hundreds of veterans, found a handful that said, yeah, we feel different. And all the stuff that this supposed researcher wrote about was completely off the mark. And in the article, the person at Psychology Today, I think, in the article who reviewed it, wrote that, you know what? It's a shame that the military doesn't give us a training to teach people, military veterans, how to be civilian culture. It's a shame. We should do that. Hell no, we should not do that. What the hell are you talking about? I don't want... No, I am better because of my military culture, right? Makes me a better person, right? What is the civilian culture? Define for me the civilian culture. Now, it is based on what country and region you're in, but I'll tell you about America. Civilian culture here, me first. Screw everybody else. I'm going to take care of me and fuck over the person next to me. Why in the hell would I want to give up my tradition, my behaviors, my beliefs, my cultural training of the Marine Corps and the Army, of selfless service and working with purpose and working with each other and putting other people's needs first? Why should I give all that up just so I can fit in with the selfish pricks around me in the civilian world? Screw that. Freaking pisses me off every time civilians say, y'all need to be less indoctrinated. You have no idea what you're talking about. All right. All right, I hate this movie. This is one of the worst stupid movies I've ever seen in my life. Now, this got so many awards, just blows my freaking mind. Horrible movie. Let's leave it at that. However, it's got snippets in it that are pretty cool. This scene right here is awesome. All right, so what's going on here? I'm going to put you in this situation. All right, there, Schmuckatelli. Go to the store right now and buy some cereal. Think about that for a second. So you're this cat right here, and you're in this, you're on this grocery store aisle, and you gotta pick some cereal. How do you choose? Look at all these choices. And that's a different psychology. The amount of choices and stuff like that, people are happier with fewer choices, blah, 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 blah. Not going into that psychology at all. It's related, but we're not gonna go there. All right, rabbit hole. Here you are, sitting here on this aisle. How do you pick your cereal? Go! Tell you how we do it. This is how we typically do it. Unless you're shopping for your kids, like which one's got all that, what's that troll or the ghost or got the flower or unicorns on it, right? Kids want the shiny thing, right, with all the marshmallows. Aside from that, you're shopping for yourself. What you do is you look around. You're like, oh, cinnamon toast. Do I feel like cinnamon? You're like, your mind is tuning into your body. How does cinnamon feel? What do I feel anything happening inside here when I say cinnamon? Ooh, but I see cocoa stuff. Do I have it? Ooh, I get a warm tickle. Ooh, I must want some cocoa more than cinnamon. But I see peanut butter cocoa over here, and I feel even more of a tingling going on inside my gut there, right? Same thing when people ask, what do you want to eat for lunch? I don't know, do you want to eat soup, or do you feel like salad, or do you feel like steak? It's the same thing. You're like, oh, this really works, right? Go out to a bar and drink a couple beers, and then what do you want to eat? You want to eat something greasy, right? How does Taco Bell sound? Amazing, right? Everybody goes Taco Bell when the bar closes. So it's the same thing. Now, if that's what's going on here, when you come back from deployment, especially PTSD has a lot of dissociative aspects to it. Dissociative means you're not connected to your body. You don't feel your body, all right? You don't feel your emotions, all that stuff. You're just not aware of being here now, all right? You're not aware of it. PTSD has a lot of that, but also our military culture has a lot of that. The military culture, you're on a 20-mile ruck march, all right? You're tired. Would it be great if you could just kind of numb some of it out, just not be aware of how tired you are on a 20-mile ruck march? What about every day doing this hard job? What about patrolling every day or going outside the wire or other stuff? What if you could just, over time, learn to just ignore it, all right? It's not that you're going, I think I will ignore that. No, that's what's it called in psychology? The white elephant principle or something like that. Don't think about a white elephant. Poof, there's a white elephant in your head, right? The more you tell yourself not to think about something, the more you're going to think about it, right? It's weird. So it's not that you can just say, ignore pain. You have to distract yourself from the pain and or just kind of like become numb to it. And so that becoming numb to it cuts yourself off from your body. So it works, because you don't realize how hungry you are. You don't realize how tired you are, but you also don't realize what you're in the mood for. And does it really matter in the military? No, because what is it? It's Tuesday. What are they going to feed us? Whatever. Tuesday slop, right? We have different food on Wednesday, different food on Thursday, right? Oh, shit, we got lobster. All right, where are we deploying to, right? That's usually how it goes. So when you go to the shop here, you're like, instead of cinnamon toast and cocoa and peanut butter, take all those pictures and words out and instead put cereal 3, cereal 5, 7. Which one sounds more appealing? And so that's what you see a lot of veterans. They're like, myself, you look at the stuff and nothing gives you a tingle inside. Nothing resonates whatsoever. And so if you can't feel it, emotional thinking, remember the train back earlier, if you can't feel it at an emotional level, make those decisions, which most of your decisions are emotional. I know you think you're a rational being, a reasonable, rational being. You're not. Philosophers, you're not. You're an emotional being. We are emotional animals. We do almost all of our decision making based off emotions. Who did you vote for? Well, that was a rational decision. No, it wasn't. It was emotional. What music you listen to? Same thing. What food you eat, what clothes you wear, what people you hang out with, what TV shows you watch, everything you do is an emotional reason, an emotional response to something. It's only when people ask you later, why did you do that? Well, then you turn on your brain. Your brain goes, well, this. And you come up with reasons. But that is not what you did when you picked it. You just gravitated toward or gravitated away from it, right? So Slayer comes on. I'm like, ooh, that's cool. You know, Cardi B comes on. I'm like, oh, I'm not listening to that, right? I gravitate towards and away from things. That's how we work, all right? If you turn off that emotional feeling, how do you know where to move? I move where I'm told to move when Sergeant tells me to move someplace or whatever the schedule is. And so you see a lot of veterans are like, man, I don't know what to eat. That's what I tell families. I'm going to tell you what, man, come up with a program for eating. Monday's meatloaf, Tuesday's taco, Wednesday's wings, Thursday is spaghetti, Friday is pizza, right? Make it a schedule all the time. Write that stuff up, put it in the refrigerator, and then, you know, that'll help the person. It's called coherence, all right? Coherence helps with us, all sorts of stuff. That's just one little bitty tool, all right? So this person, you can't make a decision. If I put you in the situation to buy some cereal here and you're like, I have no emotional response to any of these cereals, now you have to do something that you've never, ever, ever, ever done before. Make a rational decision on the cereal. Okay, so here you are, well rested and sober and fresh-minded doing this. Okay, let me make a decision. That has higher carbohydrates than that. That is organic. That is not organic. That is locally produced. That is not locally produced. That is cheaper than that. All these cost-benefit analysis. That one. Ta-da! This is what I'm going to pick. This is a good decision. Why? Because of these reasons. Cool. That is you well-rested with a fresh mind. That also took a lot of mental energy. Now do that for every decision you got to make. Which shoes do you wear? Which pants do you wear? Which shirt do you wear? Which route do you take to get to work? The whole 9 yards. After a while, your brain is like, I am worn out. Time out. I do not want to think anymore. That's what you see all the time. If you go do a hard job like digging holes, go, you know, whatever. Do a job. Go drive 10 hours. You're exhausted at the end of it. All right, but that is a different kind of exhaustion than somebody who sits down at a desk all day and crunches numbers on a spreadsheet. All right, so when the person comes back from, say, driving 10 hours, like, hey, let's go do this. I am so tired, but yeah, sure, let's go do it. You know, I can power through this. The person that just crunched numbers all day and thought with their brain, hey, let's go do this thing out in town. I do not want to go anywhere right now. Can I just sit here for a second and not think? You see that a lot, especially with mental information workers. They don't want to think. They want to do something light. Let me watch some Netflix that does not involve thinking. Let me read some comic books that don't involve thinking because I've been thinking all day, right? It is very hard work to think. And if you've got issues, say you have attention issues where you can't focus on something more than one minute at a time, now this is even harder. If you've got sleep issues, if you've got TBI, if you've got sort of other issues that are impacting your cognitive mental abilities, now this is even harder. So what you see a lot of veterans do when they come back is, what cereal? This one right in front of me. Bam. I would go into Starbucks and I'm like, hi, welcome to Starbucks. Why am I there? Because I'm sleep deprived. I need caffeine. All right, so that's it. That's the reason I'm here. Task and purpose. Hi, welcome to Starbucks. What would you like? Man, can you make me a drink? Oh, sure. You want a cappuccino? You want a mocha? You want a latte? I don't care. Make me your favorite. Do you like it? I don't care. I don't care if it's sweet. I don't care if it's sour. I don't care if it's bitter. I don't give a damn. Give me a large coffee, whatever your favorite is. And I've had a lot of different coffees. Same way at Starbucks. Why am I there? Because I need to eat. I need sustenance. So I'd walk into Starbucks. I'm like, hi, welcome to Starbucks. Hey, man, before we get into all this, just make me a large sandwich. Whatever you think. Don't care. Make a sandwich you would eat. I'll just leave it at that. Please. That was my stick for the longest time. They're like, okay. And they'd make this sandwich. And I'd eat whatever. Didn't matter, right? On the On the married side, I'm not married, but on the relationship side, here's the spouse. Hey, sweetheart, let's go out to dinner to eat tonight. Okay. What would you like to eat tonight? I don't care. Would you like some, go get Chinese food? Sure. What she hears there, or what she doesn't hear, is enthusiasm. All right? I don't hear enthusiasm. Maybe he doesn't want to eat Chinese food. Would you like to go eat German food? Sure. Again, she doesn't hear enthusiasm. Would you like go eat hamburger someplace? Sure. What about pizza? Sure. All right. Does it matter to the veteran? Not a bit. All right. Does it matter to her? Yes. She wants to hear enthusiasm. She doesn't hear it. So what does she think is going on? She thinks that he is not interested in eating out with her. So she assumes that he's just not into it. It's true, but it's not true for that reason. It's not that he doesn't want to go out and eat with you. Sure, let's go eat. We can sit here and watch TV. We can go eat. We can sit on the beach. We can sit in a tree house. We can go whatever. I don't give a damn. As long as I'm sitting with you, it's all good. But that's it, Because welcome to the military. Hey, you got a mission. No, you don't. We canceled it. Oh, we pushed it back. No, we pushed it forward. Now you're going to sit here for a while. No, we're going to go back to the tent. Oh, it's mission time. So you just learn that. Whatever happens, happens, right? All right, we beat that horse to a pulp. So let me tell you a story. So way back in 2007, 8, 9, 10, I don't know, somewhere around there, I was a student at Portland State University. I think maybe 2007. So a student at Portland State University, and I had an issue with focus. I could not focus on things at all. I used to be an A student. I used to be honor roll. I used to be honor society, and then go to RAC, come back, and now I'm failing classes left and right. Man, it was horrible. Just could not focus. I would read a paragraph of text, an abstract. Pick up a psychology study, any study. And there's a paragraph abstract where they summarize the article at the top. I would read it. Sometimes it was so hard to read that I would stand up, I would grab the edge of the table, and I would read it. And I would force myself, keep reading, don't stop, stay on target. This is red 6 going in, stay on target. Right? And I'd get to the end. I'd finally finish reading the end of that paragraph. And I'd put my hand on the paragraph and I'd say, all right, Ed, what did you just read? Hell, I don't know. Something about the brain? Good luck studying, passing a test, understanding concepts and connections if you can't remember what you just read 10 seconds ago. That was me. So I had that going on. So one of the things that it made it harder was a quiet environment. It's weird. I don't understand it myself, but quiet environment. So I would go to coffee shops. In Portland, Oregon, the metro area has a couple of 24-hour coffee shops, and I knew all of them. The problem is, the reason I knew all of them, I would go to 3, 4 in a night. If it was too quiet there, too dead, I couldn't stay there. If it was too busy, it was just too much stuff going on, I couldn't stay there. I had to find a coffee shop that had some people going around, some background noise, but not too busy that it was distracting. It's a sweet spot. And so that's why I would move. I'd go to 3 coffee shops or more in one night. And so I was in one coffee shop, Coffee Time, Northwest Portland, on 32nd Street, somewhere around there. Anyway, I haven't been there in years, but I would go there a lot when I was studying college. I used to live in Beaverton, Oregon. So I'm studying college, and I'm sitting in the corner, out of the way of traffic and stuff, people going in. There's the barista over there, and I got my headphones in, and iPhone's out now, yay! And I'm listening to Slayer, Metallica, Megadeth, Exodus, all this, some great music, right? I'm listening to this stuff, and just here's my table, and there's a table in front of me, and next to that table is the walkway, the table. Sitting here was this old man. His name was George. Well, I didn't know it then, but this old man, bald-headed, he had a phone. And George had this problem that a lot of cell phone people are. Instead of talking like a normal person, yes, I'm talking on the phone right now, they talk like this. What? Yeah? Okay. They talk loud. I don't know. So I'm in there, and he's cutting through my death metal. I'm listening, Slayer's not death metal, but whatever. He's cutting through my metal, and I hear his voice over everything. I'm trying to study, and he's making it hard. So I'd look up at him, just like, you are loud and obnoxious look, And after a while, when he finally got off the phone, he hangs up the phone, and he kind of looks at me like, we've been looking at me for a look, And I take my phone down. I'm like, dude, why did you even use a phone? Seriously, they could hear you without it. We jibber jabber back and forth, like we're back and forth, right? Somewhere along the line, I don't remember the who called who what first, but he called me something like a young punk. Thank you, man, young punk. And I said something like, "Shut up, old man." When I said "shut up, old man," he got up, he had a cane, he hobbled to me on a cane. This, overweight, is an old man, pudgy old man, bald headed. Walks over to me, and he's like, I could grab him. He's close to me. He's standing over me, pointing down. "Oh man, I'll show you, old man. Come outside. We'll settle this outside." So by the time I've been going to therapy for a little bit, 2 years I went to therapy every week. By the end, it was like once a month, once every 3 months. But this was when I was hot and heavy in therapy every week, and so I quickly did an assessment. Situation 1. Okay, I'll get up. We're going to go outside, and I'm going to beat the ever-living crap out of you because, 1, once I get into a fight, I'm fighting. I'm going to rip your throat out. I'm going to gouge your eyeballs out. I'm going to, I want to hurt you. That's one reason why I isolated myself from a lot, because I was afraid of killing people, and so I would not go out. I was definitely afraid of what I might do to people. Situation 1, I beat the crap out of an old man. Nobody wins. Ed, you do not win in that situation. You beat up an old man. That's not a win situation. So keep your butt in the chair. Situation 2, we go outside. This dude knows Kung Fu, and he beats the crap out of me. Ed, you will never be able to show your face here again, ever. There's no win in this situation. Keep your butt in the chair. So, quickly, a cost-benefit analysis, lose-lose situation for me, except for keep your butt in the chair. So I did. I quickly tried to de-escalate it. Man, I'm sorry, dude. You kept staying seated down. I'm sorry, dude. You know what? I just had a proctology exam by somebody bigger than Shaquille O'Neal. I got a rough day, man. It's crying out loud, all right? It's whatever. I tried to de-escalate it. Tried to back down a little bit. That's when the barista. So the barista, imagine uber hipster dude in Portland, Oregon. He had dreadlocked hair, white dude, dreadlocked hair. He had big earplug. I never understood that, but hey, man, whatever floats your boat, go do it. But he had these big earplug things in, and whatever. He comes over and he's behind this old man, and he's leaning over him, got his arm over his shoulder, pointing at me. "What are you saying to George? You can't be talking that way to our regulars." Regulars? Son, I've paid your rent. I've come in here many times a day. I've bought millions of dollars worth of coffee in this place. But he's yelling at me. "You can't talk that way to our people. We're going to kick you out of here, blah, blah." Well, all right, so earlier, I was like, I don't want to beat up an old man. Calm down, Ed. But now I got a hipster yelling at me. I don't give 2 shakes of a freaking frog's butt whether or not this guy is hurt or not. And I quickly, I went up. I stood up. And I wanted nothing more than to just rape this guy's soul. I was going to mess him up. I wanted it so much. When I stood up and my entire demeanor changed, this old man, his face went white. All the color just drained out his face. And his eyes just got big. And he's just like, "Oh, shit." And he turned around, and with his cane in his hand, and he put both hands on this guy's chest, and he pushed him back across the room. "I got this. Get away. Go away. I got this. It's okay. I got this. Stay away." Pushed him all the way away from me. It's like 15 feet, 20 feet or so, back way across the cafe, and then hobble. And I'm just standing up, just going, oh, I'm just like, I'm about to hurt you. I wanted this fight so much. I wanted just to hurt you, and I'm about just to unleash. And George walks back. He sits down at the table right next to me, sits down, and quietly sitting down, he's looking up to me, and he goes just like this. He's just like this. He goes, "My name is George. What is your name?" slowly. Hey, my name is George. Please, sit down. Tell me your story. What's your name? And I was just like, I kept looking at the barista. I'm like, I am going to come rip your freaking face off, and I'm going to, what is your name? And I sat down, Ed. And we ended up talking for like 2 hours. I didn't get any studying done, but we talked for like 2 hours. He told me his story. I told him my story. We talked back and forth. I mean, it's been years, but for like years after, I'd be walking around Northwest Portland, and I'd walk down the street, and I'd see George outside, and I'm like, George, hey! And George would stand up, and we go to give each other a big old hug. I'm like, George, it's good to see you, man. Good to see you, Ed. Hey, man, you have a good day. And I'd keep on going. But for a moment there, I was about to do some damage. All right, so all that military culture, and we ain't got the battle mind yet. Here we go, battle mind. So battle mind came out of Walter Reed Army Institute of Research, and it was good. Yay! And because it was so good, they're like, oh, we should make up a battle mind for spouses. One of the worst things you will ever read. That's when somebody said, you know what, here's an acronym. Let's try to make this acronym fit to spouses. It sucks. It's horrible. But the military one, the battle mind for military, it was still good. And the Army, in their wisdom, was like, we're no longer going to have this as an official thing anymore because it works. That's the Army. Whenever something's working, some officer somewhere is going to change things so he or she can get an officer evaluation bullet and look good and get promoted. So that's why we can't have nice things. Thanks. So battle mind is no longer, or hopefully it is now again, an official thing. But yet, behavioral health officers, ones that I know and work with and stuff like that, they still use it. It's printed out in offices. When they work with soldiers and stuff, they'll say, bam, and they'll go down the list and show this. And soldiers are like, oh, I'm not crazy. This is amazing stuff. So let's go over it really quickly. Battle mind. You see the left. BATTLEMIND. EIEIO. MOUSE. So battle mind. So the point here is back to the bluff at the very beginning. Bluff. The behavior that I want from my soldiers works in theater. But if you take that same behavior and put it outside of combat environment, outside of a military environment, outside of a deployment environment, it doesn't work. All right, so that's this. It's not that you're crazy. It's not that you do the wrong things. It's that there's a time and place for everything. All right, there's a lot of NCOs know this, that we get what's called, we get a tool for our toolbox in dealing with soldiers. So some NCOs only know one tool, push-ups. But I asked you a question about, push-ups. They only have one tool, a hammer. That's it. Not very good NCOs. You only have one tool. So sometimes you need to listen to people. Sometimes you need push-ups. There's more than one tool in your toolbox, right? So that's this. You need more than one tool. There's a time to be A, and it's time to turn A off and go into B. But B is hard because we have this weird notion about what A is. A is right and B is wrong. Therefore, I can never be B because B is a snowflake and it's dumb. Relax. All right, so let's go into this. B. So in theater, can you trust battalion? Assuming you're a company level, right? You may not understand what this is, but your company level, you're working at, your third platoon, alpha company, right? Can you trust battalion level? Hell no, you can't trust battalion level. Battalion level's got their head so far up their ass, they don't know which direction is which. You know how many buildings we went to that was an IED factory when there was no building? Holy crap, or many examples, right? But not only that, right? You can't even trust platoon next to you. Yeah, we're third platoon. You can't trust those suckers over at first and second platoon. They'll steal from you blind, right? You can't trust nobody. And really, first squad, second squad, we all know about those yahoos. If it ain't third squad, it ain't happening, man. We got to take care of each other, right? So what you learn is the only people that you can really trust to have your best interest at heart and not be, on their own weird thing is people in your fire team, your squad, right? Your platoon, maybe. Your company, maybe, but definitely not outside your company. Hell no. Delta Company doesn't give a damn. Echo Company, Bravo Company, they don't give a damn, right? So only your company, really only your platoon, really only your squad, really only your team, right? It's not people you can trust. All right. And so then when you come back, that makes sense. That's the reality of the military, right? That's the reality, man. You don't have any other way to say it than that. When you come back home, you know, and say you're working in Intertech, all right, well, you can't trust people over in finance. They don't care. You can't trust people in IT. You know, you can only trust these people here in your cubicle next to you. You know, the cubicle next to you, the guy that you eat lunch with sometimes, and, you know, Frito-Lays and Dr. Pepper, right? That's the only way you can really trust is that person. Or a lot of times you see combat veterans, they don't trust anybody except for their battle buddy they deployed with, who may be down the street, maybe across the state, maybe dead. So yeah, I don't trust anybody but that person or those 2 or 3 people, right? So this withdrawal, you're cut off from other people around you. What's one of the worst punishments that you can give to someone? Separation from the unit, separation from society. I mean, think about prison, solitary confinement. All right, I had a soldier that was so messed up, I'm not going to go into the details here, that I took his duffel bag and I threw his duffel bag out of formation and said, stand outside my squad. You're not part of the squad. He was messed up. I mean, there's a whole video there. So that's horrible punishment. You're no longer part of the group. Right? I mean, seriously. So what happens if you do that to yourself? If you do that to yourself, man, you're getting all the negative impacts of being ostracized from the group, but you did it yourself and you didn't even know you're doing it because you're not opening yourself up to other people around you. To be trusted, you have to trust. All right, next one, accountability. All right, so funny thing, guard mount. Have some soldiers that, you know, like had some NCOs. We have guard mount. We have one squad relieving another squad for guard duty, you know, tower duty and stuff like that. And watch the NCOs, they're checking their soldiers. They say, all right, who's got water? Everybody got water? Okay, good. Everybody got ammunition? Okay, good. Everybody know their ROE? You do? Okay, good. All right, go out. And I'm like, no, stop. Man, we've already gone over this. You know, like NCOs, I've gone over this several times before. Seriously. No. Can you trust private? No, you can't trust private. I'm shocked that they did this. I had to do some training with these guys. No, I would go do spot checks. All right, let me see your water. This is a half empty canteen. This is not going to cut. How much ammunition you got? You didn't have a full combat load. What's the ROE? I can't. You better know that ROE frontwards and backwards to the freaking letter. What do you mean? Oh, I think. Hell no. What's the strip map of the place that we're going? So and so. What's the frequencies that we use? Blah 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 blah. Right? Let me see it. Let me see it. Accountability. Right? Well, that works great in theater. That's what I expect my NCOs to do. If you don't do that, you're freaking failing your soldiers. Right? That's what I expect people to do. Works great in a military environment. Now, put this in the civilian context. All right, cool beans. Hey, we're going to the coast this weekend. Cool beans. Did you pack the, hey, sweetheart, did you pack the snacks? Yeah? I'm going to go check. Open up the car door, check. Yep, pack the snacks. What'd you check for? I'm just making sure you packed them. Hey, did you pack the spare tire? Did you pack the flares, road flares, in case we get a flat tire? Yeah, they're in there. Let me go check. All right. Hey, what route are we taking? I don't know. We'll just go out there. We'll take the scenic byway. Well, we need to sit down and come up with a plan which direction we're going. What? See? She doesn't feel so good. I know soldiers that have come back from deployment and have had family formations in the morning. All right, everybody in the family at 0700, stand in the line. You know what we're doing. You're going to school. You got your book bag? Got your homework? Let me see it. All right, where are you going? Soccer practice. All right. Here's a helpful hint. Wives don't like that shit. All right, knock it off. But you see how it works for the military context, but not so much civilian context. It's now controlling, right? I knew in our domestic violence thing, I knew guys that would not allow their spouses in Portland drive through Portland, East Portland area, not East Portland, right down the river, Burnside and stuff like that. But anyway, there's this area. Wouldn't let them drive through there at night. You know, like, hey, no, you are not driving through that. I'll come pick you up. Hey, I'll be all right. No, you're not driving anywhere. You are not going to town. They're very controlling. And it's not that they're trying to be what you talk the typical domestic violence. The domestic violence of the military, the rates are sky high. is not the same as domestic violence in its own self. That's a whole different conversation. They're different. It looks the same, but it's different underneath, because there's shootings and stabbings and stuff not infrequently in a particular area, but yet this is where a lot of bars at, and that's where a lot of people go. Anyway, that's controlling behavior. Still, it's controlling behavior. All right, next one, targeted. All right, so we roll outside the wire. I got machine guns, I got anti-tank weapons, I got grenades, I got claymores, I got shotguns, I got pistols, I got rifles, I got a 50 cal on top of the Humvee, got all sorts of, I got so much ammunition, it's nuts, right? Heck yeah, all I need now is an enemy. Hey, somebody shot at us. Yes, finally. Who shot at us? Because that's a great indicator of the ROE right there. Somebody shooting at you, checks a lot of boxes. Finally, I can unleash some of this hate and discontent in me on that idiot that shot at me. Ta-da! Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Works great. All right? But now you're driving around town, doop-a-doop-a-doo, and somebody cuts you off. There's the target right there. Now I can go after that. Run them off the road, beat them up, shoot them, brandish a weapon. A lot of veterans are brandishing weapons. You look at the civil court cases and stuff like that, veterans in trouble with the law. A lot of weapon brandishing going on. It's normal for us. We walk around with guns out, gun. But civilians can't handle that, man. I'm telling you, guns freak people out. Yeah, don't even get me started with that. Guns are awesome. I love guns. But yeah, for the military, they're our normal part of life for us. But a lot of veterans are brandishing them because it's our culture. And so again, the ends justify the means, and so on and so forth. So you see locked and loaded. A lot of veterans are carrying weapons of all sorts of stuff. And if a veteran that's kind of like issues, most veterans do not have issues. The ones that we typically work with in law and mental health and stuff like that have issues. Those individuals usually are armed. And if he says he ain't, he's lying. So they're armed. All right. Got the hiccups again. All right. E, emotional control. All right. Funny thing. We're getting this in a couple slides, but if I put you in a chaotic environment, all right, and things are happening, you're going to be stressed out. It's too much going on. And then as you get stressed out, you react and overreact in various things. You know, the 4 F, well, 2 of the 4 Fs, fight, flight, or freeze, not the 4th F, sweet love, but the fight, flight, freeze starts to kick in some, and things like that. And if you're a leader, you need to be able to keep a calm head to where you can see the battlefield and, all right, that way. We'll do training exercises and people just get amped up, and I've had a squad just like this brand new officer like, oh, run. I'm like, whoa, hold on. You guys stay here, watch this. You see this? They're freaking out right now. They're just overreacting. Our flank is, give me covering, give me security that direction, because we're out and open right now. Because they've lost themselves. They no longer have a mental, they're no longer calm. They're freaking out. If somebody is wounded next to you, ambulance drivers. It's one thing to be an ambulance driver. It's another thing if the person in the back of the ambulance is somebody that you know and love. Some of the places I worked at, the fire department in Houston, the South Side, stuff like that, we had a thing like, if you know the person behind you, you are not driving, because people lose their emotional control, especially if it's somebody that you know, right? So emotional control is something that hopefully through lots and lots of training, we have slowly eroded that. Freaking out, not the emotional control. We've slowly built up this emotional control to where when chaos is going on around you and like simulated deaths and stuff like that, that hopefully over time you've kept your head and you're like, all right, I need covering fire there, I need suppressive fire over there. First squad, take your team that direction, go! Right? That's another thing. I don't need you to be losing your mind and, oh my God, we're too short for this, man. Send Bishop, man. He ain't even freaking human, man. Too short for this, right? If you got that reference, 50 Points Gryffindor, all right? It was aliens, all right? So that's emotional control. Now bring that back to this environment. You know, you're having a heart-to-heart talk with, your wife, your girlfriend, your daughter is telling you how, she's devastated because she was denied acceptance to Stanford or something like that, right? But you have emotional control. Remember, emotional control is not something you just say, let me be non-emotional today. Click. It's just something that you develop over time. So here you are listening to somebody that you love pour their heart and soul out, and instead of empathizing, going, "Oh man, come here, give me a hug," you're like, "Well, there are other colleges." But Dad, this is the one that my hopes and dreams with. I wanted to be part of this university, la la la. Like, apply for a different one. You're kind of cold. And that's what a lot of people, when they come back, they just don't relate to people. And people think that they call them robots. I've heard women, a very common theme with some women and on the male veteran side is that their husbands come back robots. And in fact, in the domestic violence literature, it's slowly warmed up. I haven't looked at it in years, but for a while it was like how bad the men were, and it is mostly all men, but there's what's called mutually violent couples, and that research was slow to start, but people started looking at it. And one of the things on the veteran side was that I've read interviews with women like, I would do whatever it took sometimes to get him angry because he never cared. He never cared about anything. He was a zombie. Nothing mattered to him. And so I would pick at him sometimes just to get him to anger. At least I knew that he cared about something. I've heard that from multiple sources, multiple women. How is it to live with a zombie that doesn't care? You have so much emotional control. You're a zombie. Do you care? Right? It works great in theater, not so great in a family life. Next one, mission operational security. Right? Hey, we're going on a mission. Okay, cool. Are you going to tell the platoon next to you? Hell no, you ain't telling them. Why? Because Private Schmuckatelli in that platoon, he's going to tell his wife on the phone or something, and his wife's going to tell her friend, and before you know it, the entire state of Oregon knows. So, that's just one aspect. You don't tell nobody anything about what's going on, because word gets out. Loose lips sinks ships. Remember that? So you don't tell anybody. And then when we come back in civilian, that works great there. But when you come back to civilian world, people are like, "Hey man, where you going this weekend?" Never you mind where the hell I'm going this weekend. Okay, connection broken, right? Friends like, "Man, don't talk to Bob today. Bob's a jerk. Bob doesn't want to share with other people. Bob doesn't care about other people. Bob's a detached jerk. He's withdrawing from people. You're secretive. What does he do? Nobody knows, right? It doesn't work in the civilian world where it works in a military operation. Individual responsibility. Funny thing, going back to my thing earlier, check the soldiers. Do you have water? Do you have ammo? Do you know what the ROE is? Are you packed for this? Do you know the plan? Do you know what the task and purpose of each squad is? All 9 yards, right? I asked my team leaders and squad leaders, hey, have you trained these soldiers? And if there's anything wrong in a platoon, whose fault is it? My fault. I'm a doggone platoon sergeant, right? I am responsible for everybody's equipment, make sure they got the equipment they have and that they're all trained, right? So if there's not any of that done, my fault. So to hell with that, I then delegate to my squad leaders, but I check them, and I expect them to check their team leaders. And I expect those team leaders to check Schmuckatelli, the privates and such. And I will double check, and I will go back behind and make sure people have done that, so on and so forth. That's just our culture, right? Because when lives are on the line, hopefully over time we have developed this culture of mutual checks and stuff like that, to where I say, hey, squad leaders, make sure we have enough water in our Humvees, because it's 130 degrees outside. If somebody doesn't do it, we are now mission ineffective because people are dropping from heat stroke. All right, so individual responsibility. Everything your level and below is your responsibility. Every single thing. And if there's sexual assault issues going on in the Army, who's responsible for that? Doggone Secretary of the Army, Sergeant Major of the Army. They are responsible. Them and every freaking leader down is responsible for everything under their supervision. Everybody. That works in a military context. You bring that over to civilians. Now all of a sudden you're taking responsibility for stuff that's not in your purview. That's not in your wheelhouse, right? Civilians next to you are doing things wrong. You're like, well, I should have seen that coming. I should have planned for that. That's not even your area. I should have planned for it because I knew it could have happened. And guilt, we tend to take on a lot of guilt, right? And the problem with guilt is that it's easy, if you're not careful, for it to slide into shame. Guilt is easy to address. Hey, I feel guilty because I was late. Okay, well, here's a watch. Thanks, buddy. Now I won't be late again. Still feel guilty. Sorry. But I won't be late. That's guilt. Shame. Sorry I was late. I'm a useless scumbag that can't ever be on time. Well, here's a watch. That's great. I'm glad you got me a watch, but I'm a procrastinator. I'm always late. I don't have a I can't be responsible. I just suck as a human being. How do you fix that? Here's some magic fairy dust, whatever. That's not how do you fix? Shame is hard. And some of the negative sides of military culture is quickly go, hey there, you useless fat body, or whatever the names we call each other. So it's easy for us to internalize these shameful beliefs and stuff, and it's hard to get over. All right, so be on the lookout for that. All right, non-defensive driving. Non-defensive driving. I drove a 10,000-pound up-Hummer Humvee. All right, you do not allow traffic to dictate where you go. Now, towards the end of my time in Iraq, higher up people who didn't know any better was like, no, we share the road and we should let civilians drive where they want to. Freaking idiot. The problem with that is that if you let people dictate where and when you go, and I'm not saying that we're not assholes. I know some people that drove Humvees that were dickheads, and they purposely just, hey, there's a shiny Humvee, bam, or a shiny BMW. They just do it just for grins and giggles. That's different. They're being a dick. I'm talking about allowing other vehicles to direct where you go. Because, funny thing, somewhere on this road is buried an IED. Well, that's in the right lane. You're in the left lane. It'd be better if you were in the right lane instead of the left lane. What if I just drove over here and forced you to go around? Boom! Or, yeah, my grenade guy is over there. Hey, take that street. Now he drops grenades into your vehicle on top. Or RPGs and mortars. Or who knows? You're allowing people to canalize you into their funnels of death. Not good. All right? Thanks, battalion. Again, you can't trust people outside of your company. Right? So, funny thing. Non-defensive driving. It's my road. I drive wherever the hell I want to. Get out of my way. Right? Now, come back over to the civilian world, and people, again, you already saw on our other slide, people don't know how to drive. They're on their cell phone. How many times you drive down the road, you see this? You can see it all the time. People next to you see them like this. They're looking on the cell phone. All right? So, funny thing. A lot of people just like driving aggressively, cutting in front of people, just because other people around them are not paying attention. Doesn't work so well. You mess up your car, you mess up other people, you get high heart rate, you're going to have a heart attack, man, because traffic's going to kill you. Not the traffic itself, your heart is going to kill you because of your high blood pressure. And the last one, discipline and ordering. All right, everybody line up. Let me see who's got all the water. You don't have water? Push-ups. Go. All right, discipline, ordering. Discipline involves punishment. All right, sometimes punishment, whatever. So that's discipline and ordering. All right, and that's part of our military culture. And if you catch somebody sleeping in a guard tower in a place that has been attacked by forces, yeah, that person needs to be disciplined. Doggone it. There's no excuse, especially that person is an NCO. Freaking no excuse for that. You sorry excuse for an NCO. So yeah, discipline ordering needs to be punished. All right, push-ups. You should be doing push-ups until you puke, but I was nice and only gave you 10. All right, do that same. Sorry, went on a tangent there. I still have bad feelings. Go into the civilian world. Hey, where are you going? Soccer practice. Cool bean. You got your soccer cleats? I left them at my friend's. You left your soccer cleats that I spent $100 on at your friend's place? Push-ups. What? Push-ups. Or hey, we're at the store. Hey, can I get this toy? Hell no, you can't get this toy. Push-ups. What? I knew a woman that would make her 8-year-old kid do push-ups on the side of the road. Like her kid, 8-year-old kid would just like do whatever 8-year-old kid did, and she'd pull over, get out of the car, and make her do push-ups right there. All right. The platoon sergeant me, when somebody says no, platoon sergeant me is like, don't say no to me, right? But here's the story. There's a 5-year-old kid. I know this 5-year-old kid. He's an awesome little dude. I got some artwork that he drew on my refrigerator, a lot of it. He's an awesome little dude. But that little dude is 220 wide for 110, son. I'm telling you. He is cut. Man, he gets up out of bed. He is gone full throttle all the time. And sometimes he'll do something like, hey, give me that Coke. No. Run off. This ain't a game. You do not say no to a platoon. What? No. Hey, quit goofing off, right? Military, quit goofing off. Roger, Sergeant. You better stand and parade rest, right? 5-year-old doesn't know that. 5-year-old's like, no. And I feel like all the anger and stuff like that. I'm just like, you will do push-ups until you puke, right? Now, what if I acted like an Army platoon sergeant to this 5-year-old kid? Would that be useful? Not at all. Instead, I sit down and I do something that I wouldn't do with a soldier. In some situations I have, actually. I've had soldiers that have panic attacks and other things where I've sat down with them and I've walked them through it. But if a soldier's just being disrespectful and whatever, no, we're going a different route. But with this 5-year-old kid, we do this thing like, all right, buddy, let's breathe in. We got cookies. There. Smell the cookies, blow on the cookies, right? We do that a couple times, breathing exercises, right? Completely different thing. I cannot be a disciplined military ordering platoon sergeant with a 5-year-old kid because it's not an adult. That is a developing child, man. I'm not saying it's easy. It's not, but we try, right? All right, so that's BattleMind. I forgot they had animations for all these. All right, so BattleMind, good stuff. All right, so here we go. Deadlifts. And everybody's like, what? 180 turn. All right, here we are. You're at the gym, and we're about to do some deadlifts. Now, some people might not know what deadlift is. I'm sorry. Just go to a gym, a CrossFit gym, and sign up. All right, just go. You'll be better for it. All right, CrossFit is awesome. It's not a cult. It's a culture. I freaking love it. I'll be glad when COVID's over so I can go back. All right, so do deadlifts. All right, here we are. You're about to try for your best, heaviest lift. Now, heaviest meaning good technique and form, all right? Always good technique and form. But we're about to go for our best lift ever, right? We're going for a PR, personal record. Ready? All right, here we go. And coach has got music going to help you out. All right, loudspeaker music. Here we go. Now, is this going to help? I mean, theoretically, it should make a difference, right? Doesn't matter what's playing. You should be able to do something. We had a CrossFit coach that played twangy country music all the time. I'm sorry, man. It's hard to do a Metcom when I got somebody singing about how the dog died. Can't do it, all right? Country music, no. All right? It's got to be upbeat music, all right? I know country music can be upbeat, but it's not the same. When I'm doing a deadlift for PR, this is what I want. All right, that's what I want. All right, so funny thing. So I play metal music in my ears. I'm like, yeah. The point of that, you have your body, your guts, and your skin, and all kinds of tissues and stuff going around over it. You got your body, right? And it's got a heart rate that's going, and nerves, and skin, and lymph nodes, and kidneys, and liver. And for some of you, that liver's working way too hard. All right, look at all this stuff, right? And you also have this brain, all right? This brain has got thoughts that's going on inside it. You know, I'm a good person. I'm a not good person, right? My English is awesome. It's got these thoughts and stuff, beliefs, and you got these behaviors, things that you do. I'm going to jump up and down. I'm going to sit still. I'm going to go ice skating. You know, whatever it is. These three things: your thoughts, these thoughts and stuff. Your body and your behavior, all three of these things impact each other. And so if you can manipulate one of those three, you will impact the other two. You feeling lazy? Get up and walk. Believe it or not, just getting up and going for a short walk will have you feeling less lazy. Now, you may not feel like walking because you're feeling lazy, so I'm not going to walk. So what if you change your thoughts? All right, what if your thoughts said, something else like, I want to hit my goal of 5 minutes a day, and it's really important to me to hit that goal, whatever it is. But the point is, those three things: behavior, body, and thoughts. It's basic stuff that's going on in CBT sort of stuff, right? So all you have to do is just pick one. Pick one of those that you can work on. You can't work on your thoughts because your mind is spinning out of control. You're trying to go to sleep at night, and your mind is like just going nuts. It's like, man, how am I going to do this? What about that? The rinse do? You're just all these thoughts, and all these thoughts are causing you to feel worry, and this worry is causing your heart rate to go up and stuff like that, and then you just feel anxious and you can't go to sleep because you're not relaxed. Well, that's two parts of the triangle, right? Those two parts of the triangle are thoughts and body, and that's keeping you awake. Well, what's the other part? Behavior. Okay, I can work on that one because that impacts the other two. So pick the one that you can work on, do something there, and it'll impact the other two. So what can I do with behavior? I can do some deep breathing exercises. I can do some muscle relaxation exercises. I can do something like that to help impact the other two, and that's it does. All right, if whatever. So I'm gonna beat this dead horse. So here we go. Sharpening the Warrior's Edge. This is a very small book. I got it somewhere up there on the shelf. I don't know, but it's that thick. You can wear it. You can read it like a weekend. All right, unless you're a Marine, then it might take you a week. Joke! It's not written in crayon. You can't read it. So, Sharpening the Warrior's Edge. All right, this is a really good book. It's got some good stuff into it, and really, if you just read the first half of it, you'll get the gist. All right, so here's a short, simple thing out of the book. All right, heart rate, just heart rate. That right there. All right. Okay. Cool. What if your heart rate's 115 beats a minute? If that is the case, your fine motor skills started to deteriorate. Now, the old school radios that we used to carry around in the Army, they had big knobs on it. And then somewhere along the way, some brilliant person who doesn't carry radios and gets shot at all the time designed a new radio with little bitty buttons. And so what happens when you find out is that when you get your heart rate up, it's easy to program a radio when you're in the classroom. It ain't so easy being running around all day and there's stuff going on like, where's the freak? And you're just like, it's hard. It's stupid hard. Good design, Army. Awesome. But this is what you find. Fine motor skills deteriorate. Go tie your shoes. It's harder, right? Next thing up, 145 beats a minute. Complex motor skills deteriorate. Hey, do this Rubik's Cube. Hell with it, right? You can't do it. Complex motor skills, I cannot do this shake machine. I can't. How do you make this thing? I can't open the coffee packet. Whatever it is, you can't do it. It's gone. Here's one that we all know. 175 beats a minute. This is called CrossFit brain in the CrossFit gyms. All right. Cognitive processing deteriorates and perceptual narrowing, also called tunnel vision. But what's this cognitive processing deteriorate? What does that mean? Well, you ever go to the CrossFit? If you're in CrossFit and you've done a Metcon and your heart rate's up, like my watch has said, hey, do you want to call ER? You want to call 911? My watch has said that. I'm like, no, burpees. Burpees suck. Anyway, so have you ever done a Metcon or something like that in CrossFit, and then afterwards you're like, all right, you're putting it on the board, like how much you lifted, and you're like, okay, I got a 45-pound bar, and I got a 45-pound plate and a 45-pound plate, so that's 45 times 3. How much is that? Well, it's easy to think of when you're like calm. You're like, yeah, that's 135. Do that when your heart rate's up. You can't add. You see CrossFitters all the time. They're like, 10, I don't know. That's why I use an app. I have an app on my phone that you just pick the picture of the plate, done. And it tells you what it is. Because I can't even type in the numbers. Like, what is a 4? I don't know. That's what's going on here. So as your heart rate goes up, you think less. And as it goes up even more, you can even have some weird thoughts. Like, I think I'm going to die right now. I think ninjas are coming in through the windows and stuff like that. It really gets worse, right? Well, funny thing, what impacts the heart? Behavior. All right? Your heart is 55 beats a minute right now. Okay, cool. Burpees, heart rate goes up. There you go. You just impacted your thoughts by doing jumping jacks, which impacted your body, which impacted your thoughts. See that triangle going again? Hey, veteran, how many Red Bulls or Rippets have you drank today? Rippets, my God. I don't know how many. Man, people drink a lot of Rippets on deployment. How many Rippets have you had? And how much how many cigarettes have you had today? And how much dip have you been chewing today? All 3. That's assuming no drugs. What if there's drugs involved? What if there's oxytocin going on? Is it oxytocin? Oxycontin. Yeah, oxytocin is the good stuff. Anyway, what about oxy? Right? How much of that stuff you going on? I knew Marine veterans that used to snort that stuff. Like, how can I get this in my system quicker? Or other drugs, right? All these different things are impacting you. also remember that that feeling of anxiety that you carry around like this, there are muscles and stuff like that increases your blood pressure. Well, blood pressure, if it is higher blood pressure, then sometimes it goes along with that is a higher pulse, because it's got to work to get that stuff through, right? So let's just keep sending it through. So your heart rate's already elevated. So many other things, and that's just behavior, all right? And diet, impacting the body. What if there's thoughts too? You're walking around and you have this background thought that's going on. One of the brilliant parts of Aaron Beck in CBT was this notion that people have these thoughts going on all the time. If you stop for a second and listen to yourself, you'll notice that you're telling yourself things all the time. You just don't pay attention to it. You just don't realize it until it happens. So if you really want to see that, do some meditation. Right now, stop and meditate for 20 minutes. Yeah, I know, 30 seconds. Whoop-de-doo. Do it for 20 minutes. And when you do it for 20 minutes, you'll be like, man, this is boring. And you'll see this internal chatter just going nuts. You cannot stop talking inside your brain. Your brain is constantly talking. And even when you're watching TV shows, watching the IT Crowd, brilliant show, or, The Expanse, yay, Bonnie is amazing. Anyway, watching all this stuff, you're telling yourself stuff all the time, even watching TV shows. When you're doing things, your brain is still going. All right, so what if these thoughts were saying negative things? Like, that person over there with the ice cream cone, that's probably, an ISIS agent or something. Or there's that trash is a bomb, or so many things. That's going to elevate your heart rate. Heart rate's going to elevate you, change your thoughts. It is a cycle. All this stuff impacts each other, right? All right, cool. Next one. So all those things go down when your heart rate goes up, except for one thing: gross motor skills. Well, what is a gross motor skill? Is that like ew? No, gross means big. All right, so big muscle skills. What is a big muscle skill? Hitting. So that gets better. So Ray Lewis, if you elevate his heart rate high enough, he may not be so good at doing changing the remote control, or figuring out a Rubik's Cube, something like that, but he will be able to hit you harder at 220 beats a minute. Does that work for Marines in combat theater? Heck yeah, it does. When in doubt, go rip its face off. Worked awesome. And since it worked in that one situation, we tend to apply that hammer in every problem we come. When all you have is a hammer, all the life's problems are nails, even when they're not. So you may remember this from high school: this parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. You may remember this stuff, right? Well, funny thing, this is a lot. So let's break this down infantry style, which is simple. You got dude, and you got anger. This is from Inside Emotion. What was that Pixar comedy cartoon? I don't know. Awesome. This dude is amazing. Anyway, you can't be both at the same time. You can't be the dude or anger at the same time. Can't do it. So if you find yourself in one situation, like you're the dude, and for example, you're about ready to go outside and play in a championship football game, right? And you're the dude. You're like, yeah, man, we're going to go play for the Super Bowl. Sure. Is that going to help? Probably not. Instead, what you see is football players are pumping each other up. Come on 3. 1, 2, 3. Huh! Stuff like that. They are trying to transition from the dude to more activated self, the anger self. And anger works a lot, right? Anger is awesome. Or at least this manifestation of anger is, right? So anyway, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to amp themselves up, regulate themselves up. But you rarely see people talk about, well, how do we regulate themselves down? You never see veterans talk about this, because the thing on the right is power. The thing on the right is control. The thing on the right is not a pansy. Why the heck would I ever not want to be this? So we don't care about down regulating. Plus, when I'm angry, people around me are like, whoa, leave him alone. And so people stay out of my bubble, which is awesome. Right? So there's no reason never not to be this. Except for people stay away from you. People don't like to be around you. People don't think you're a good person. You are lonely. You don't have any friends. You have high blood pressure. You probably have some stress reactions to things. Police officers. I think the average lifespan of a police officer after retirement is 15 years or 5 years. It may be 5 or 15, but it's not long. Police officers, after they retire, get a big gut. Military too. Why? Because they eat a lot of donuts? Ha ha ha. Stereotypes. Donuts are awesome. Don't even get me started. But no, that's not why. The reason why, stress responses, all right? The stress response is going on because you live in this all the time. You live in this mode. And even when you're not going around hitting stuff, you're just being still, not hitting stuff. But you would like to be running around hitting stuff. What that does to you, since you never downregulate back to the parasympathetic nervous system, is you then pack on weight. For men, around the gut. So you see men with big bellies. It's not because they eat a lot of crappy food, which they may. It's because of this right here. I mean, go back to this. You see on the stomach. On the right, stomach inhibits digestion. Liver stimulates glucose release. Diabetes, right? Look on the left. Stomach stimulates digestion. Liver stimulates bile release, right? You want the stuff on the left. You want the stuff on the left all the time. This is where you want to live. All the time. Except for those few moments there's a lion chasing you. Except for that rare moment when somebody comes in your window in your home to rob you and your family. Except for that moment when there's actually danger. Then you want to be able to go from left to right. You want to upregulate quickly. And when I work with veterans over the years, talking about meditation and relaxation and all that, a big fear for them all the time is like, I'm afraid that if I let this go, that I won't be able to get it back. I'm here to tell you, yes, you will. Believe you me. Stop for a second. Imagine this. Nice mom. She's a soccer mom. Well, let's not go there. They're all mean. Nice mom who takes her kids fishing, right? She's a sweetheart. She's super nice. She's amazing. She bakes brownies all the time, right? Nicest Mrs. freaking Brady, right? Brady Bunch. Showing my age. But the nicest mom in the world, right? Now, here's the situation. Throw in somebody bad, right? They're making brownies, they're at the campsite and whatever. And now throw a bad guy in there, and the bad guy comes in there and just kicks one of her kids. Do you think that mom is going to go, oh, would you like a brownie? Or you think she's going to upregulate really quick and go and then just rip into this dude, like just beat him with a brownie pan, right? Quickly. So don't worry if you're one of these veterans that's like, I'm afraid of letting go of this anger side because I'm afraid I won't be able to go back to it. If I need to, don't worry, you will. All right. So learn how to downregulate. And what is downregulation? It's all the hippie stuff. Meditation. All right. So before we get there, let's go into Aristotle. I told you I got a degree in philosophy, and we're going to go over to Aristotle real quick. Why? Because we'll talk about courage. So, we know what cowardly is, right? We know what cowardly is. You've seen cowardly, right? So, cowardly is cowardly. I don't want to fight. Please don't hurt me, right? Cowardly, all right? And I ask this question all the time. What is the opposite of cowardly? And this is the point in the audience that somebody goes, brave. That is one possibility. Sure. I'm not saying Aristotle is the end-all be-all. What we're talking about here is ethics and morality and how one should be and live and stuff like that. And there's different emotional beliefs and theories about what they are, right? And yeah, whatever. Not gonna get into all that, right? For Aristotle and other virtue ethicists, it comes down to behavior. Virtue is behavior based. I'm a virtuous person. Really? What have you done? Nothing. Can you really be a virtuous person? No, I ain't done shit, right? So virtue is tied to behavior. And cowardly is not enough energy for a fight. You are lacking in that energy, lacking in that drive to go into a fight. I don't want to go, right? All right, we're not going to go into the fight, flight response and stuff like that. It's connected. Not going to go there. We're just talking about Aristotle right now. All right. So Aristotle would say something in Greek, and I can't speak Greek, but in English, he would say something to the effect that the opposite of cowardly is not brave. The opposite of too little emotion, response, emotional drive, too little, the opposite of that is too much. The opposite of cowardly is rash. Now, what is rash? The Hulk. And if you watch the Avengers, they're on the helicarrier. Is that what it's called? The helicarrier? The big machine floating around in the sky, right? And Bruce Banner's walking around, and people are getting on each other's nerves, right? And Loki's got an influence going on there. But anyway, Bruce Banner starts to get kind of worked up, and everybody's like, whoa, but chill, brother, chill, all right? Just woo-saw. You got that movie reference, 10-point Slytherin. So, woo-saw, because we do not want Bruce Banner turning into the Hulk. Why? Because does the Hulk go, all right, I'm here, what am I going to mess up? No, the Hulk is like, Hulk smash, splash. He just smashes stuff. That's what the Hulk does. Something in later movies, different issue, all right? But originally, the Hulk is all about just unbridled, unregulated violence. Right? Bruce Banner in the 80s. Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. Remember that? Anyway. So, rash. Does rash help in the military context? We're in a fight. We're going against the Germans, the Nazis, or whatever. Does rash help? Yes, rash helps, because you just like, yeah! And if I've got 100 soldiers and they're all rash and they're running towards something, I'm probably going to overrun the enemy position and win, right? Bad side of it is that you can fight when you're not supposed to fight. You can do things dumb, like, we should have flanked right instead of just run straight into it. We would have lost, far fewer soldiers if we had done it smarter. But when in doubt, give me an army with just full rashness, you're probably going to win a lot of times, right? So rash is easy to train. You just train that over and over again. Back in 89, 89, 90, February 1990, I was at Marine Corps School of Infantry, Camp Geiger, North Carolina. It's cold as hell. Anyway, they would like shoot machine guns, and we like when that machine gun went off, we would have to jump up. And like, if it was within hand grenade distance, you jump up and you attacked it. If it was outside hand grenade distance, you lay suppressive fire and then try to maneuver on the enemy. Like, first time that happens, you're like, what am I doing again? I don't understand. Am I doing this right? Because this is weird. Nobody's seen this before, right? But you do it over and 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 over again, until eventually you're walking around and you just like, you just start running. You just start going after it. All right? It's automatic response. You're like, give me something to hurt. Case in point, 1996? Somewhere around there. I don't know. There I was watching Thomas the Tank Engine, train engine, whatever, with a 3-year-old kid. I was babysitting my girlfriend's kid. And doop-a-doop-doo. And all of a sudden, I heard gunshots. Pow, 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 right outside my door. I lived in a crappy neighborhood in Houston, Texas, and I jumped up and went and there's a baseball. I kept a baseball bat at my front door because it was a high crime area, and I grabbed it and I opened the door and I was going outside. I just heard gunshots and I was going towards it with a baseball bat. I didn't have a gun, baseball bat. Why? Automatic response. The Marine Corps is very good at training rashness. All right, they are good at training the Hulk, and I was going out the door. And the kid freaked that kid out. That kid was like, "Wah!" He didn't know what just happened, right? And I stopped. The sound of a screaming kid, especially a kid that I was emotionally attached to, he's a cool little kid, stopped me. And I turned and I closed the door, went back inside, and I picked the kid up who had a death grip on me, and I carried him to the bathroom, put him in the bathroom, peeled him off of me, closed the door, closed the other door, and then grabbed the baseball bat and a bunch of towels and ran outside. This time, instead of like combat mode, I was also trained as an EMT at the time in the fire department, and I was like, now I was in help mode. So now I went outside with stethoscope, or the kit that I had, a little first aid kit, and I went out there to put bandages on people. I was like, somebody just got messed up. I'm about to go help. And that's what I did. People were outside freaking out. Oh, man. Oh, I was like, hey, you, call 911. You, go to the road. You go do this. That's not rash behavior. My initial reaction was rash. How do I find it and how do I kill it? The behavior that I was in now was courage, which is right in the middle of too little and too much energy. Courage, this is courage. Police dog. Those are my first jobs in the 80s, was training dogs. We trained police dogs, tracking dogs, drug dogs, obedience, whatever. A police dog, generally speaking, and there's always a few bad apples somewhere, but generally speaking, a police dog is awesome. You don't see a police dog sitting around at home, like, I haven't bit anybody today, man. I gotta bite somebody. If I don't bite somebody before noon, I just don't know. That's not a police dog. A police dog is like, is that bacon? Hey, what's up? Got some more bacon? What's up? Right? Is that a puppuccino at Starbucks? Just Google police dogs puppuccino. German shepherds just getting stuff all over their nose. Cute. Until you say watch or whatever they're trained to do, then they're all business. They're like, and we would train our dogs to bite people. They're like, ah, and then we would train them to let go. When we say let go, out, and they let go and they watch. We would train them. And then when it's free time, we would give them a word in German, which I can't remember now. For free time, we train their dogs in German. This is a good language for training dogs. And we train them in German, and they're like, okay, and they start playing. Like, okay, work is over. They can transition back and forth. You don't see police dogs sitting in the back with a food bowl going, I don't know, man. You don't. This is what I want for my soldiers. I don't want my soldiers either one of these things. When in doubt, I need them rash. If I can't do anything else, I need rashness. I need hulks. But if I got the time, and if I can train them, and if they're open to it, which it just comes down to my ability to train, this is what I need. I need you to be, when it's time, go into your job mode. Do your job. Shoot people when you need to shoot people. Be locked down in emotions. But when you're home, to let that go. And when you're home, be with your family and enjoy the softball game. And, go out into the restaurant and eat and be relaxed and eat. All right? And what does this come down to? I mean, I could talk a lot just on this, but it comes down to training. Trust your training. But also work on your skills to down-regulate. A lot of those skills that help you with that, involves physical exercise, sleep, diet, and things like that. But also your mental thoughts and your belief structures. All right, instead of like every person is a potential enemy, be polite, professional, and plan to kill. Instead of everybody's a potential enemy, I'm surrounded by enemies. Like, most people here are good people. Somewhere there's somebody that's an idiot, but I've got good training, and I've trained for that, and I'm ready for it. But most people, including this person right here, is a good person, whereas just an average person that is just out to have a good time, right? That's a subtle shift, but it makes a big difference. All right, and just on the point of police dogs, this person here, just shout out to Miss Christie. She's got an Instagram account. She trains these dogs. She's a retired police officer, and these dogs here, she talks about how a lot of people like to buy these dolls because it's the cool thing to do, because it's in the movies, but they're not aware of the work that it takes for these dogs. These dogs aren't psycho. They're just energetic. They're just like, they got stuff to do, You're not going to buy one of these dogs and just leave it in your home. It's going to chew up stuff. It's not the same thing as like it likes to eat people. It's not the same thing, The type of people that you want to join special forces are generally not the type of people that, what I want to do today? Nothing. I want to sit on my butt and just do nothing all day long. Hey, let's go hike this trail. Nah. That person's probably not cut out for special forces. What you want is like, hey, you think we can jump this dune with this dune buggy and clear that car? Let's try that. Man, what would happen if we base jumped off the building? Thrill seekers. They tend to do pretty good in special forces. That's one part of it. Another part is the ability to regulate emotion. Again, side point, I can go for days just on some of these points. Anyway, she talks about the amount of work. She posts the work that she does with her dogs all the time, getting them used to things, training them. It's a lot of work. It's not going to be easy to not be cowardly or the Hulk, but to be a police dog, it takes work and perseverance, and you training this every day as a human being. So if you want to be this, you're going to have to meditate. You're going to have to exercise. You're going to have to work on your thought systems. If you find yourself getting ramped up in a situation, you have to investigate that. Was this useful? Was this not useful? Go to therapy, things like that. If it's good for dogs, it's good for people. Dogs are better than people. All right, this is an Ibanez guitar. Beautiful guitar. It's very similar to the one that I've got. And if you've got your strings on it and your strings are too loose, no music. If your strings are too tight, no music. But if your strings are just right, excellent. All right. So it's not about being either or. It's about finding that middle balance. That is, for Aristotle, what he calls the golden mean, the middle way. It's not like a pure middle. It's not too little, not too much, but how much is good for that situation. That is not easy to determine. That, I mean, to paraphrase a lot of Aristotle here, you're an idiot. You don't know, and you can't figure this out by yourself. The way to figure out how much is too little and too much in this situation, you're going to have to ask, because you're going to make mistakes. Because again, we're all idiots. We're naturally just dumb, right? So what you do is you find someone, hopefully older, wiser, who's been there, done that, and you say, hey man, this is what happened, and I responded this way. You got to pick the right people. You just can't pick, a Hulk, an old Hulk. That's just because you're old doesn't mean you're smart. There's a lot of dumb old people out there, right? But hopefully you pick somebody that's been there, done that, who's learned from their experience, hence wisdom, and then you ask them, hey man, what about you? And like, man, I messed up lots of times that way, but I learned this, and you learn the lessons from these other people. That's why our younger veterans can learn from their older veterans. And you see that. A lot of younger veterans are coming back, and Vietnam veterans, after Desert Storm, Vietnam veterans came out of the freaking woodwork. Hey man, this is what we went through. We don't want to see this happen to you. This is what we experienced. You see that now with OEF veterans, which was 20 years ago almost. But you see that now with older veterans, Vietnam veterans, Cold War veterans say, hey man, this is normal. This is what happens. Blah, 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 blah. You can work through it this way. You just got to be able to listen. All right, so listen. So here is a good tool. Already referenced it a couple of times. The cookies, that little 5-year-old kid, bless his heart, he's a cool dude, man. He'll get just amped up, and I'm like, all right, let's breathe. You and me, we're going to breathe. And the cookies, all right, we're going to breathe in. It's chocolate chip cookies. All right, and they're hot, so let's blow them out. All right, let's do that a couple times. All right, remember that's slow. It's 3 seconds in, 3 seconds out. Does it have to be 3 seconds? No. Just slow that stuff down. And you want it rhythmic. You want it like ocean tides or waves. All right, that's what you want. That affects the vagus nerve. The vagus, just go Google biology, right? It's going to help you trick your body from going from the angry side back to the dude side. This is what it does. The body is easy to trick. Remember I said, you got the body, you got the behavior, you got the thoughts. If you impact one of those, if you can impact one, you will affect the other two. So by breathing in and breathing out, we are doing behavior. We are impacting our behavior, which then has an effect on the other two options, right? Primarily in this case, our body. All right, so we'll just leave it at that. So then another behavior that you can do, drink some water. If you're like, here, take a drink of water. You see it in movies all the time, but nobody ever asks about it. But you see the movies all the time. Hey man, I'm freaked out. Hey, here's some water. Okay. Why do they do that in the movies? Well, funny thing, the body is like, man, we're just running from a lion. We're going to get eaten. Hey, look, there's some cold water. Man, I ain't got time for that. I'm running from a lion, right? But if you were drinking some water, your body would be like, I must not be in danger because I'm drinking water, all right? And also, you're activating this digestion part of the body. The body is like, hey, we have to digest stuff, hence chewing gum. It's an old trick in the Marine Corps, like, hey, drink a lot of water, you won't be so hungry. Also, chew some gum, you won't be as hungry. And I think there's a psychology study out there somewhere, like, if you chew more times while you're eating food, you will fill up on less. You eat less food, somewhere out there, all right? Mindfulness studies with eating food has helped as well. Like if you are mindful of your eating, you tend to eat less. Has an impact on weight loss and stuff like that. But anyway, by drinking water and by chewing gum and stuff like that, your body is like, oh, we are going into digestion mode. So slow down non-digestion mode, anger mode, and go into the dude mode, right? So you're tricking yourself. Splash cold water on your face. These are little behavior hacks that you can impact the body. And as your body calms down, then your thoughts start to slow down as well. All right? And if you've ever, a lot of bachelor dudes know this, but if you're like cooking spaghetti, boiling some water, and it starts to do this, what do you do? Well, I saw on the internet if you put a wooden spoon on it. No, it doesn't. No, somebody's lying to you. No, you do not put a wooden spoon on your thing and make this stuff go down. You pick the pot up, and you just pick it up off the heat. That's it. And then the water side just goes back down. Everybody knows that, right? Remove it from the fire. All right, so why am I saying this? Well, funny thing, chocolate milk. But it's like, I did not see that coming. I know you didn't see that coming. So I used to run marathons. I think I said that. I ran 10 marathons in like 5 years because I was a glutton. At 39 to 44 years old, I ran too many marathons. Anyway, so that's a lot of training, right? I run 3 times a week, every week. Everywhere between 2 miles to 20 miles, or 30 miles. But I would run long runs. Fridays was long run day. And so as a reward to myself for a long run, I would reward myself with chocolate milk. Love chocolate milk. Now, remember earlier I said that you have a lot of thoughts going inside your head. So if you sit down for 20 minutes with nothing going on and try to meditate for 20 minutes, you will hear those thoughts. All right? So when I finished my run, I was like right across the street, there's a park, 20 miles of park out there. And a mile that way is a convenience store. And so there I was, stopped at the convenience store. I'm in my running clothes. I got my tech shirt on, whatever, high-speed cool shirt. And I go in there, and there's the milk. These Nesquik chocolate milks in a bottle. And I go over there, and I grab one, and I go to leave, but the milk ain't coming because it's stuck. Got hiccups. It's stuck in that shelf. So I grab it, and I'm like pulling it, and it's stuck, and then it comes out, right? And my hand flies up, and it hits the grate, right? Bing. And you can't really tell, but I have a birthmark that goes up my arm here. It's too many blood capillaries. Weird birth defect. So I have too many capillaries. So if I thump it too much, I bleed easy. So I had some blood just coming out. So my mind is still going, we don't care. All we care about is this chocolate milk because you hot, you sweaty, you just ran 10 miles. Drink this chocolate milk, man. It's going to be so good. So good. Drink chocolate milk, right? So I just put my finger in my mouth, blood, because I don't want to get blood all over my shirt. I go to the cashier, put the chocolate milk down, grab my card. Here's the card. Pay for the milk. Thanks a lot. Don't need a receipt. Get in the car. Open it up. I'm driving. I got a mile to go to get home. I'm driving down the street and gone. Because I'm thirsty and it was good. Tasty. Now I got a half a mile to go. All right, cool. Half a mile. My brain is like still ping-ponging all over the place as normal, right? That's a cool song. Heck yeah. Squirrel. Hey, look at that cool car. I need to get one of those. Hey, runner. Yeah, go get some runner. Hey, I like trees here. Got that person over there. Blah, blah, blah. Squirrel. Bing, 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 bing all over the place. Turn into the street where my home is. Now I got like 600 meters or so to get home. Driving. Bing, bing, squirrel. And I see the blood. I'm like, hey, you got blood on your finger. Why do you have blood on your finger? I got blood on my finger because I cut myself on the thing. Why? Because the milk was crammed in too tightly, which caused me to pull it out to where I cut myself. Well, why was the milk cut in there so much? Because the guy that stocked it was a jerk. What? Well, he's a jerk. Yeah, he's a jerk who doesn't care if other people cut themselves. He probably laughing about what it did to these people. Well, jerks aren't any good. I know jerks aren't any good. What do we do with jerks? We put jerks in their place. Yeah, before you know it, in 100 meters, I had ramped myself up with my thoughts to where now my heart rate was up. Remember, 3 things: behavior, thoughts, and body. And my thoughts were going about how this guy was a jerk, this guy was a selfish prick, and somebody needed to set this guy right, which then impacted my body. And my body started heating up. Adrenaline started going through, heart rate started going up, which then almost impacted my behavior. Thought saying, you should turn around and go get that guy, right? Go just... Didn't want that behavior, right? Therapy works, and I had some sort of self-awareness like, whoa, this is not good. So on one side of my shoulder, I had an angel saying, hey, don't do that. That's not good. And that doesn't work. The next time you're in an argument with your wife, your boyfriend, your husband, your girlfriend, and you're in an argument, just say these words: calm down. you'll notice that does not work. It often has the opposite effect, and it makes things worse. Well, the same is true for yourself. If you're finding yourself getting angry, I should calm down. You don't say that. We don't say that. Who cares? And if you try to say that, hey, I should probably calm down, it's not going to work because you feel justified. That's the thing about anger. Anger always brings with it a sense of feeling justified. You are always, right or wrong, we don't care. You're always feeling that you are justified in your anger. That's just part of being angry. So it's very hard to calm yourself down because you're right to be angry. That's just how it works. You feel that way. It takes some work to get out of that mindset, right? So the opposite mindset for me was to go beat that guy up. So and I was like, I don't want to go beat this guy up, but I'm close to going to go do it. How do I not do it? How do I slow myself down? And I'm still driving through my apartment complex. I got 2 buildings to go, but I'm still thinking about turning around because there's a part right up here that allows me to turn around. I was thinking about it. So I need to calm down now, but telling myself to calm down does not work. So what do? Well, here's another tool. So this tool here actually worked. This is exactly what I did. Here we go. Every 2 letters, name a famous actor. It's too easy. So AB. Let's name an actor. Ta-da! Annette Bening. All right? She's awesome. All right. Next one. CD. Cameron Diaz. All right. Cool. Next one. EF. Ba-ba-da-ba. Errol Flynn. All right. GH. Ba-ba-ba. Gregory Hines. All right. So this is what I was doing. And I got to this one. I'm turning into my parking lot area, and I got like 20 cars to go before I get to my parking space. And now I'm at IJ. And I'm like, IJ. Who the hell starts with an I? I don't even know anybody that starts with an I. I'm not breathing. I'm not thinking about nothing else. I can barely drive right now because all 4 brain cells in my brain housing group are all just dedicated to IJ. Like, who the hell is it? Who's IJ? Anyone? Everybody, every class, every time I've told this, people always say, Indiana Jones. However, Indiana Jones is a character, not an actor. The actor is Harrison Ford, HF. And that doesn't even work. It's HI, not HF. So, IJ. So anyway, the point is, 20 parking spaces. As I was driving 20 parking spaces, like, IJ. And I pulled into my parking space. And then when I got there, I stopped. Because this isn't a long-term thing. This is supposed to be a short-term intervention, right? So just pick it off the flame, the thoughts, and put it back down and keep cooking, right? Once I pulled into the parking spot, and this is 30 seconds of thinking here, I was like, why did that guy do the milk that way? Why did he stock the milk so hard to where people got hurt or cut themselves? To which I was like, well, how do I know he did it? Maybe he didn't stock the milk. Maybe there's a milk stocker that came in and delivered milk and he stocked it. Or maybe somebody else came through and put it up there. Maybe another person is playing a joke. Maybe that guy is working his butt off and is one guy doing the job of 2 people and stocked the milk so much to where he would have to run back every 5 minutes for milk. And it came up with other reasons, none of which were him being a jerk. So in other words, I was able to think clearly because I was no longer emotional. When you're emotional, you can't think clearly. You can't. So you have to calm down those emotions before you can think rationally. All right. Stories. I guess I tell some stories. So I used to work with the Transition Assistance Program and had a veteran that I'd been working with for months, helping with everything from HUD-VASH, getting in school, finding a job, finding mental health, all sorts of stuff. And one time this person called me up, this was years ago, 3 hours away from me, because I lived in Eugene, Oregon at the time, and called me up and was suicidal. Just wanted to say goodbye. I was like, what? And I had not been to any suicide training at this time. I haven't been to ASSIST, Applied Suicide Intervention Skills Training, or anything. Didn't know anything about suicide, right? Except my own experiences, which I got videos about that around. But I didn't know anything about suicide. So I used everything I could on the book that I could think of, right? I was nice, I was mean, I was Army Sergeant, I was kind, caring person, everything in the world. And then, I mean, several times this person was like, okay, bye. And I'm like, no, hold on, right? I'm trying everything to keep this person on the line. Meanwhile, I called 911 on a different phone. I had two phones. And I would mute this call, and I would say, hey, I got this veteran on the phone, suicidal. If you look at such and such date, you had a noise complaint that your officer responded to. Because I kept notes. Noise response, I don't know the address, but this is the date, this is the time, noise response, blah, blah, because that person called me. Hey, the cops are here. Relax, do what they tell you. So dispatch had cops going. So the cops are there, and I tell this vet, I'm like, hey, I got some friends that are there. I mean, I lied. They're not friends. I don't know these people. They're cops. I said, I got some people that are there that want to talk to you just to make sure you're okay. Okay? That's all. That's all it is. Will you open the door and talk with them? What? And it's like, what time is this now? 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, somewhere around there. What? Who the heck's here? Just like, I'm like, hey, they're just here for your welfare. They're just here to check on you because I value you, I care about you, and I want you to be here. All right. So I asked some friends, some people to come check on you, just to make sure things are right and have somebody to talk to. And says, okay, can you go open the door for me and talk to them? It took some doing, but finally got an okay. All right, cool. But I also know about tactics and safety and stuff like that because duh, right? So I'm like, I got both phones up, so the dispatch doesn't know I'm talking to the dispatch. So dispatch can hear me. I'm like, all right, are you carrying any weapons? No, you are not carrying any weapons. Okay, you have a phone in one hand and you have a dog, a chihuahua, in the other hand. Okay, all right, fine, no weapons. Okay, they're outside the front door. If you can open the front door for me, okay? All right, walks to the front door, opens the door, and this is what I hear over the phone. Loud voices, get down on the ground, get down on the ground, get down, get down. There were a couple of cops there, already had their guns drawn, yelling at this person to get down on the ground. Now this person was a prior Army military police, was a veteran, also female. So maybe some people will be like, yeah, you haven't met with a veteran that was like, scary, like I would too. No, I'm not saying female aren't dangerous. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm just trying to diffuse that argument like, oh yeah, everybody's dangerous, so hell yeah, I would put my guns on them. It's a fear-based response. No. Again, I tell police officers all the time, whenever you escalate anything, I will escalate. That's not a male-female thing. That is a military thing. And believe you me, I've met with a lot of women veterans that have escalated when shit was pulled on them. They would beat the crap out of you, right? Do not start that, right? So, slams the door, and goes around and gets weapons. Now I was ready for a fight. There's guns pulled. I'm going to fight. And so it's talking to me. I can hear an ammo can in the background and loading and stuff like that. And at one point, was looking out the back window. It said, "There's a cop outside my window here. Doesn't even know I'm here. I could easily shoot this person right now." And I was talking to the dispatcher, both of them, dispatcher here. Do not shoot that cop behind the house who doesn't know you're there. Don't do that. So the dispatch could communicate through the radio and so like that, get him out of there. I was like, don't do that. Like, how do I know these are cops? How do I know? You can get a uniform anywhere. How do I know? True story. You can't, right? And remember, several slides back earlier, we talked about the heart rate. As the heart rate goes up, irrational thoughts start to happen. You even get paranoid, and that's where we're going on, right? So this person, it took me another 2 hours on the phone to finally get this person calmed down. And then finally was able to put the weapons away and allow the cops in. But man, for a while, I know people that work in the VA center, various VA centers, and then for a while, it was the VA policy not to call 911. There's a veteran that was suicidal. Do not, under any circumstances, call 911. They're not the only ones. I know various mental health institutions that would not call 911 because, hey, there's a combat veteran over here. Better go on with a gun. Wrong answer, son. No, don't do that. So it's one of the reasons why I've given hundreds of trainings to police departments around the state to try to illustrate this stuff. Do not escalate. You may not even be aware that you're escalating to me, but I'm picking up on it subtly. Like you're picking up on, you're like, I don't know if you ever walk into a bar, especially guys. It's a guy culture thing, but not to be sexist, but especially a guy culture thing. When you walk into a bar and you just kind of feel everybody out, and you can kind of feel when that guy over there is trouble, even though he hasn't done anything. It's just this feeling, right? And if I'm getting ready to jump you, you feel that. And vice versa. And if we're feeding off each other's feeling of escalation, it's just, we might even be aware that we're doing it. We're just picking up on subtle hints. So I tell police officers, I'm like, hey, whatever tools you got for de-escalation, you do those things, all right? Often. I'll just leave it at that. I got more stories. I'll just leave it at that. That's the presentation. That's been a long time. But thanks for watching. Hopefully this has been helpful for a person or two. I got many variations of this presentation that I give, shorter or longer, more emphasis on various things. But other than that, thank you for your service. Just be careful out there.